Hello, everybody. Welcome to another night of fun and excitement. We don't have any comedians coming in this week, so it might be a little stale, but you'll have to put up with comic relief from us, which is a scary thought. But we do have experts on here with us. We got Chuck and Roy and Randall and Gustavo, and I'm just a placeholder here. So, but we thank you for coming on here with us tonight. And we got 14 people according to my little widget on the screen here. So we'll hold off on doing any serious discussion until we get about 23-ish, somewhere around there. In the meantime, we'll recognize those that are in the chat already. We got Terry is here from sunny Melbourne down under. If you're underground, how is it sunny? Oh, no kidding, only kidding. And we got Bob from Bob Our Photos and Bob Rosado. Bob, I'll let you know when to come in. I will put the link here in the chat. I've been forgetting to do that lately. I need you guys to bust my chops when I don't do that because everybody's always invited to come on the panel at any time. Bob's going to do have a little discussion piece with us, which I think you'll find interesting, converting the plastic mounts on the Z 40 millimeter or 28 millimeter lenses and putting metal flanges, metal mounts on them. And so he's going to show you how to do that, complete with part numbers and cost and everything else. So that'll be somewhere around 9:30-ish, I would expect, somewhere around 9:30 or 9:45. And it's good to see Roy here this week. We missed him last week. And we got James is here. J-Rod is here from Maryland. How things going in Maryland, James? Getting any eagle shots at Conowinga Dam? Doing any of that stuff lately? And let's see. We got Albert. Hello, Albert. Good to see you, my friend. Hope things are well with you and that you're doing okay. And Mookie MC is in here. He's cleaning his AFD Nikon lenses. Got to be ready. Yeah,
I missed some of them. I really missed some of those AFD lenses.
Yeah, and I'm gonna actually probably, if I go out, plan is to go shooting on Monday, and I'll share some otter pictures. Bob and I got our first otter pictures at Huntington Beach State Park. We've been going there religiously for the last 6 or 7 years, and we've never seen one. So we saw one for the first time, and but if we're going to hopefully see it on Monday, it's going to be warmer on Monday here. And to be honest with you, I'm going to put my 70-200 f mount lens with my FTZ on my Z8 because we were able to get close to it, and it likes to come out before you really have any sunlight. So like a lot of the shots that we took were like ISO 25,000. So I don't care how good your noise reduction software is. ISO 25,000 is a tough pill to swallow. So if I throw that 70-200 on there and gain a couple stops, that'll make a big difference in terms of having to do a lot of work in post. So that's what I'm going to try on Monday. And let's see, Jeff and Leslie popped in. Good to see you guys. And so we're just kind of like flowing in the beginning of the show here. I'm just curious how many of you have been brave enough to either put on your wish list for the holiday something photo related from your spouse or significant other, or have you basically said, I'll just pick something out and you can just wrap it for me. Curious what those of you in the chat are hoping to get to satisfy your gas problem that we all have. So, I mean, Chuck did his shopping a little earlier. He got his 800 PF. And Chuck, did you get was it the 51.2?
Yeah.
Okay, so you got the 51.2.
Good taste.
So, and
at the 4,400 right now.
okay. So, yeah, it'll be interesting to see what you guys say in the chat about your wish list for the holiday for Christmas, and if you've already cheated and bought a few things ahead of time, because sometimes the holiday doesn't come fast enough, you know. Jeff's saying he got a new MacBook Pro. Good for you. Good for you, man.
M4, Jeff, I presume.
Yeah.
Yeah, unfortunately, I'm having Anita Stewart had to buy a new Mac.
Wow.
Not because she wanted to, but she had a lot of difficulty with her system, and things were just going bad. And Apple tech support was like no support at all for the most part, and it just got really, really bad. And she went and bought another computer. So it's nice when you buy one when you don't have a problem, rather than having to buy one because you have a problem.
Exactly.
Big difference. Oh, and here you go. Now, Jeff, is she actually on the show with you? So you're not giving this away and letting her know here, are you? Canon R10, 100 to 400, 100 macro, 18 to 150. She'll be good.
Exactly.
She'll like you for the holidays. You're a very smart man. A very smart man. But she got an M4 Pro. That's what she got.
Good choice.
That should do it for another 5 years, Jeff and Leslie.
And then Robert Bob is saying that's going to be one of his purchases next year, and he needs to get a decent laptop. I mean, I have a laptop, but I'll be honest with you, other than the photo review where I need to have 2 screens, I don't use it a lot. I mean, my goal was to have something. I always want to have a laptop so that whenever I finally do some traveling, if I'm going to do some somewhat serious photography, I want to have the laptop there, so it's another place I can store my files for redundancy, But other than that, I don't use it an awful lot. I'm always on my main computer in the house for the most part. Terry just said he added 64 terabytes as his Z9 demanded it for his birthday.
Demanding.
I didn't know cameras could talk to you and convince you to spend money. I guess they can do that, huh? The power. It's like, is that called the power of the Nikon? Is that what that is? And Randall's, you cooking? 104.
Well, yeah. Roy says it's 40 degrees centigrade tomorrow where he lives. So I says, well, over here right now in San Antonio, Texas, 15.5556 centigrade.
I wish you Americans had learned Celsius.
No, it's no fun to change. We're too stubborn.
They're trying to push it when I was going through school. And what happened?
Yeah, I mean, they started. Yeah, when I was in school, they started touching on it, but it wasn't until I was in high school, and it lasted like one year of teasing us and torturing us, and then it kind of just went away, and it never happened.
Well, it's like cursive writing. They don't promote that anymore. You just print. So
Celsius is so much easier to work with metric.
Yeah.
Yes.
Well, you know what? I'm not going to doubt that that's true, but when you have something ingrained in you your whole life that maybe not as efficient, it's really, really hard to just do a switch. It really is. Your mind's already been programmed a certain way for so many years. It's really hard. Really, really hard. And yeah, so Bob is saying he's looking at the Mac Studio as well. Yeah, I had an iMac, and I couldn't. The only reason I got the Mac Studio, and believe me, I didn't want to spend the money on the Mac Studio. I only got it because I decided I was going to do some video stuff. And as soon as you decide that you're gonna, as soon as you decide that you're gonna do video stuff, then the old iMac is showing its age a little too much, you know. And I just had to do it. But
the Mac Studio M1, which is the one that you have,
yeah,
and the one that I have, still performing okay for what I do.
Right? Oh, I don't have any issues with it.
So I'm going to wait a little bit longer. But for Robert Rosano, the new Mac Studio with the M4 chip is coming probably next year, correct? So I think we're waiting a little bit for that M4, because that M4 chip is definitely much better, right?
Well, the only reason that you would get something faster per se is if you're doing multiple, if you were trying to manage and do multiple 8K content on your computer, you may find a need where you have to have something like that. But for, I'd say a good portion of us, like even like you said, even the M1 right now, I mean, that does everything I need it to do plus some. I don't have any issues with it at all.
I'm with you, but on the other hand, you know what they do, correct? They get more power, then all the software get updated, and then it takes a little bit advantage of the power, but also makes the older system slower, correct? So it makes sense to upgrade eventually. I don't have the need for it yet, but the M4 compared with our M1 seems to be a big jump, which is what you want, correct?
Yeah, it'll be a while before I do any jumping of any kind.
Yeah.
So we got 15 people in here. So I expect that we're going to have less people as we, since we're kind of like in that middle of December time frame where everybody's, you know, between maybe making travel plans to go visit family for the holiday season, or being prepared to receive family for the holiday season, as well as last minute Christmas shopping and decorating and all that fun stuff, that I anticipate that we're going to have a smaller crowd for tonight and for definitely for next week's show. That'll probably be that'll be very close to Christmas. So I'm sure people will be definitely busy doing other things. I did put together, I don't know when I want to share it, because I thought about sharing it on my last weekly show, which would be, I think, the 28th.
Yes.
28th of December, but I'm like, nobody's going to be here. And I did put together that crazy, as I do my crazy Christmas routine. So I did put together something for that. And I did put together, like I said, a video that I'll probably share with everybody at some point, which was originally done before I did the work in the room, and when I was assuming I wasn't going to be back doing any kind of live streaming at all. So, but I did put the thing together, so I might as well share it. The personal message to everybody, and sharing some personal things in my life of my experiences growing up in photography and things like that. So I'll share that at some point, but you know, I'm not sure exactly when it'll be most fitting to do it, whether I should do some of it tonight or wait till do it all next week. I don't know. I'll let you guys think about it. Let me know what I should do. You know better than I do. And Sanjit's in here, so say hi to Sanja Paul is in the house. Good to see you. And what time we got? Time check 9:15. Maybe what I'll do before. Do you guys have been doing anything that you want to share with everybody? Anything you're working on? Anybody have any trips that you're scheduling for next year, possibly?
I probably have, but I'm still in the planning phase, so it's too difficult to. But I do have some photos that I took a couple of weeks ago of the current male mule deer population, which I always watch them over this time of the year because of the so-called hunting that happened here in my area. And actually, the final hunting period start tomorrow, so I'm going to be in the watching and last until the last day of the year. Hopefully, don't get any more carcasses, Jeff.
No, yeah, anymore. Well, I'm assuming. Correct me if I'm wrong. That you hunt for them with your camera. You're not a hunter. You don't shoot the animals per se.
No.
You hunt at all or no?
I used to long time ago.
Long time ago.
Right? When I was about 15 to about 21, I did a little bit of hunting. But actually, that was my birthday present for reaching 15. Was my personal shotgun. Right? So I do understand hunting. Actually, what we do with the camera is hunting. Correct? But no, I don't have any objection to hunting. I don't want them to be hunted in an area that is urban where the animals are habituated. There's no merit on that, and they take some of the, they go for the trophy hunting. So it's a little bit cruel with animals that are habituated. So I'm always locally. I think some of I put some signs. So because other years they come and bother me and they want to come into my property. They cannot hunt in your property without your permission. But I think I have seen this year for the first time in other of the neighbors putting signs saying that they are not allowing to be hunting in the area because there are some relatively big animals you will see, and they go with bow and arrow and try to hunt them with bow and arrow, which is what happened to me a couple of weeks ago. I did have a deer that died this year when we have some strong cold weather, and the coyotes already work on it.
Took care of it, huh?
Yeah, but I didn't move it, and it was not in a good location, so I let nature take care of it naturally.
Yeah. Well, my late father-in-law, they had in Connecticut, they had like black powder season.
Mm-hmm.
So he had a black powder, rifle, a conventional hunting rifle.
Yes.
And he had the crossbow as well. Let me tell you, that crossbow, when I moved down here, my next door neighbor used to say, "Can I set up my target with the hay in your yard and shoot my bow and arrow across from my yard to your yard?" Yeah. And I says, "Yeah, but let me know when you're going to do it so you don't get me by accident,
Exactly.
And I'd be sitting on my back porch, and I would just be watching these arrows fly into. I certainly wouldn't want to be at the end of those arrows.
And these bow hunters,
compound crossbows and everything,
with woolies and everything, those are incredible. No?
It's like shooting a missile.
My niece is doing this weekend. She's hunting with a crossbow.
Yeah.
And as I said, I don't have any problem, but you have to give the animal a little bit of a chance, correct? So,
well, yeah, but you see, she said that the guns were too easy to kill. Crossbows are a little bit more difficult.
Oh yes, yeah, I know. That's probably true. It requires a little bit more skills, but if the animal don't fear you because they're used to see the people, there is no challenge in that, correct? It's like almost like a pet. They are no pet. They roam around between the different properties, but they are used to see people, so they don't have the natural fear to other animals. The coyotes are they are very uh, difficult to see and photograph because they do fear a lot of people.
Well, if you have them in your neck of the woods, then you got to worry about even when you go out with your
Oh,
dog, right?
I don't take even my little one, the which no longer with us. We always took it out with a leash, but even my Doberman, I take him with a leash, mostly because of the skunks. Correct? I don't want him to go after the skunks of the raccoons. Uh, Otherwise, I get sprayed, like it happened to me a few weeks ago.
Yeah, you told us when you had that happen. That is no fun.
No.
Oatmeal baths and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, that was rough. Actually, when I take it at night, I always watching around. I don't get surprised by another skunk.
I'm going to. I think before I have Bob come on, I'll share my otter pictures here.
Okay,
I'm just kind of getting them on my desktop, and then I can. It's like 5 or 6 shots, I think.
Yeah. Others are so secretive.
And let me see. I got one more, I think.
And that was this week, Jeff?
Yeah, this was Thursday. These were taken on Thursday. So I will bring them up on the screen here in a second. And like I said, these were all like ISO 25,000. I mean, it was there. Well, it put it this way: it was in the portion of the park that gets the sun last.
Okay.
So the sun basically goes over the treetops and it starts to light up the far end of the pond from where this creature was. On those treetops start getting lit up, but it may be an hour before any of that light starts to filter over to the other corner of the pond, which is where the otter was active. So you're basically shooting in very poor light. But as we say, you have to deal with what you're given, and that's just the way it is. So the first shot I'm going to bring up, you'll get an idea of how big I don't know if you want to call it a paw, how big the hand is, the paw, paw. So I'll put that one up first.
Okay.
And it's holding that fish, and it was in the water was very, very shallow in this location. And there were a lot of down branches in here, and trying to get a shot was difficult because a lot of the times the head was on the other side of this branch, and it would be like you couldn't see the head. Half the head was covered up, so you had to wait for it to decide to duck down and move forward a little bit. But you could see the size of the hand is pretty good size. I've gotten pictures of minks. Bob and I have gotten pictures of minks before, and a mink is amazing. What size fish they'll get and physically drag to wherever they in between the rocks, wherever they're residing at that point in time, they could get something that's very, very large and drag it in. But the otters don't waste much time dragging anything in. They just rip it to shreds. So as you'll see in the upcoming shots. So let me unshare this and get another image up here. So this is with in that same area with the branch.
Okay.
Oh man.
and so pretty much the only thing left at this point is the head.
Is that a frog or a fish?
That's a fish.
Oh, okay.
What's left of it. But look at those nice sharp teeth.
Oh no.
Oh my goodness.
Nice sharp teeth. I mean, the the longer teeth, upper and lower, like a dog per se, but the other teeth, it's not like a human where they have molars. You still have spiky, sharp teeth. They're just not quite as long, but they're definitely sharp. And this sucker just ripped the fish apart, like, and they eat the whole fish. They don't like say, oh, I won't eat the head or I won't eat this. They eat the whole thing.
And quickly.
And quickly, yes, very, very quickly. I was blown away. It was like really, it was something else to see, close up. I mean, I had to back up because I had the 800 on my camera. So that's why I'm saying if I go Monday with Bob, I'm going to bring my 70 to 200 because I could get within 10 feet of it. I don't need anything longer than the 200. And at least then I have a lot faster lens, so that'll benefit me as well. So then let's see. So then we've got a few. Let's see. Here we go. Did a vertical shot here. You can see the head in its mouth.
Yes.
And then I got a little zoomed in, got a little closer.
Wow.
There's the eyes of the fish here, and the mouth's wide open, and it's like, it's long dead. Let's put it that way.
Yeah.
It's dead so fast it doesn't know what hit it. Doesn't know what hit it. And let me. Okay, I think I got two more here. I'm going to show you.
So what is that? Is that the 800 that you have? Is that the 5.6?
6.3.
Oh, 6.3. Okay.
Yeah, the PF.
Yeah. All right.
So, which was way too much from where the location was with this.
I don't know, Jeff. They look good to me.
But you got the tongue, you got the fish laying in there. Look at those wonderful teeth.
Yeah.
Those wonderful teeth. Oh my goodness.
And that's with no teleconverter. So
no.
Wow.
No.
So you would think you would get well, you wouldn't have to back up then.
I wouldn't have to back up. So if I had the 200, I'd get a good shot. But the thing is, at that hour of the morning, I don't. Believe me, I hate shooting at ISO 25,000. I mean, that's like horse pucky. I mean, that's like bad. I do not like to do that. But it's either you do it or you get no shot, and so you do it. But and this is the last one I'll share with you, and this is what I call this, like. This is the jaws shot. That's the head there of the fish.
I don't know, Jeff.
I thought that was his tongue.
I will take the 800, and if you want to take another.
Well, I'm gonna bring my Z9 with the 800.
Exactly.
And I'm gonna bring my Z8 with the 70 to 200.
That sounds better because
and
these
then
are
that way I can. Either I could use both or see how it works out.
So Jeff, let me ask you a question, because others typically they are in pairs. When there is a mated pair, correct? Do you see one order, or you see more than one order?
We only saw one, and from as far as I know, people have been seeing this otter on and off, usually very early in the morning.
Okay.
And they've only seen one. Okay. They've only seen one.
Maybe it's a male that is dispersing into the area, correct? Hopefully stick around because the others, they typically have a well-established territory, right? So that's the good thing. So you keep going on it, because others are difficult, as you know. I mean, took you 6 years. Correct.
Well, yeah, and then a gentleman that we know that's lived down here for, let's say, 15 years plus. says, "Oh no, they've been here before, and you know, there's probably a family of them. We're only seeing the one." And he would go. Bob did some research, and you know, they will tunnel through the mud bank, on the edge, and then they'll pop up, on land per se, and they'll have a den or whatever set up. And sometimes we saw them just go from the water and go on the land and just went underneath the brush and everything and just disappeared. And then maybe you saw them again in the water 30 minutes later or 40 minutes later. But he was like active basically until until his stomach was full, and then he just kind of like, then you didn't see him anymore.
Exactly.
And he was literally in an area where, due to storm damage, due to some high tides and some storms, an area that, how do I want to word it? I guess an area kind of got washed out. It sank. The dirt just sank in, and they ended up dredging that out, and so it kind of like created a longer, narrow area of water as part of the pond, and then they have rocks built up, and so it extended like where the water was. The water wasn't there before, or not as much. So now it's like this nice little narrow area, and there's branches from trees that go over it, and it's in shade, and they can do a lot of birds go in there now, but it's hard to get a good shot because you got branches everywhere and it's dark. But they like it in there because they feel safe.
Exactly.
They feel safe because the eagles have been somewhat active. We had one day, maybe a couple weeks ago, where we had, I think, both adults and like 2 or 3. Bob could correct me here if my memory's going. 2 or 3 juvies and 2 adults, and that was like the most we've ever seen at one time in any given day ever, since we've been down here. And that was quite a show too. But once again, that day that they were flying around, I took hundreds of shots of eagles, like, felt like they were right in front of me, but it was a crappy day. It was cloudy as all heck, dark skies, no light, high ISO. Yuck. What are you going to do? So there's they call it, we got a swing bridge down here for, letting the boats, go across, the taller ships. So Bob's saying he found out there's otters near that swing bridge, so we might have to check that out. Let me go into some of the. Okay, Albert. Yeah, my father-in-law went hunting for many years, and I knew my father-in-law from the time I was probably 10 years old, because he was my parents' mailman, and I was his paper boy. So, but he rarely got a deer. His success rate was not very good. He was like the crossbow guy, but very, very rarely. Most years he didn't even get anything, for how he didn't go out every weekend either, but he just didn't get a lot of them. And I did try it once, and it didn't do anything for me. So
it's supposed to be difficult.
Never had it.
It's supposed to be difficult.
Well, it all depends on when the time of year that you get to kill. Because if you get to kill like in the winter when they're eating like twigs and stuff like that, they're not going to taste very good. You want to get them when there's a lot of plant life and everything, and then the meat tastes a lot better. But I don't remember when he got this one that I tried, but I was like, I took 2 bites of it and I said, okay, I'm good. You could tell that I am not someone that likes to experiment with food too much. Let's see if we We got Bob Bob is here, so we can move on to his presentation here instead of talking about dead animals.
But
Bob,
Jeff,
you're saving me from having to talk about dead animals any further, so that's a good thing.
keep going at that, Jeff. That's a fantastic opportunity. So
Yes.
worthwhile the uncomfort to wake up early in the winter.
I can show my otter picture if you want. With
Okay.
Sure.
how do you share on this thing? I haven't used this before.
You just go to what looks like
I
a
see it.
computer
Yeah, no, I see
with
it.
an arrow.
I see it. I just had to find it.
Yeah, and you just got to have the file open on your desktop, and then you just you'll see it. You just click on it, and it'll show up on the screen.
The time when they are easy to see is when they are mating. Correct. So mating time for the otters, because they are very boisterous, and also they chase the males chase the females relentlessly during daytime. So hopefully that's in the future for you and Bob.
Well, they have they have some otters in a man-made created environment over at Brookgreen Gardens, which is like a mile down the road. But this is the first time I ever saw one in the wild.
Different. It's very different.
So I'm gonna.
Whoa, that's a good one, Bob.
Here we go.
Yeah. So I mentioned. I think I showed a couple pictures last time, and I mentioned that there was this great egret that was sort of following them, and so there's like 3 or 4 of them jumping around.
Wow. And that one is where in Connecticut?
Yeah, it's not too far from here, maybe 5 miles from here. It's a really shallow, marshy pond. And but it was funny because I went to go shoot the egret, and then I saw some motion, and then I noticed the egret was jumping around in different spots, and it was just following wherever the otters were.
Locally, the camera focused on the otter and not on the egret.
Yeah. Well, I think I have another one where I focused on the egret, but I don't remember.
Well, the egret's probably hoping the otter gets a fish and he gets a piece of whatever falls out of his mouth.
Well, I think what it's looking is it's stirring up the general population, right? So
yeah,
it's just going, it's following them, saying, okay, well, he's scared the fish over to me now. Anyway.
Okay, here's the bad joke of the night. Worse than what I would do.
Whoa.
Very good, Robert.
At least you got him. That's all that matters.
Exactly.
Got him with a friend. Got him with a friend.
And how do I unshare? Or I don't know. I don't know what I'm doing here.
Yeah, you go to the same.
You go to the same. You go to the same place and just.
Well, all I'm seeing is my screen, right? So I got to get back to wherever. I guess. There we go. I think. No. Where's Restream? All right, here we go.
Infinite reflections.
Yeah, wow. I thought I was in a Twilight Zone for a second.
All right, so if you want, I can share what I came on to.
Yes, absolutely. Well, you have the floor, my friend, so you can set everything up, and we'll let you run with it. And let me just. Okay, so it should be up here in a second.
Okay.
And you can go ahead whenever you're ready.
I think I'm sharing. I don't know.
Yep, you're sharing.
You are. We see your title slide.
Yep, title slide is up. Yep.
It's excellent.
All right, so let me just. obviously people know that the 28 and the 40 have a plastic flange, and it's perfectly fine for the lens. It's so lightweight, and but if plastic will eventually start wearing, and I've heard of some people saying it feels like it start getting loose after a while. And then you also don't have a weather seal when you have the plastic flange.
Okay.
But I just wanted to get a metal flange. I don't think it's really necessary, but I wanted to get a metal flange. But what most people have been doing is like taking an F to Z adapter and cannibalizing it to use the flange from that. And that just seems silly to spend $100, $125 or whatever it's going to be as a minimum to get a used adapter to take the flange out. And so I just left it off to the side. And then I was reading somewhere somebody had posted a part number. So I said, oh, well, let me just look up that part number. And it wasn't too bad. It was like $40 or something like that. So I ordered it.
Okay.
And then when I got it, I said, oh, wait a minute, this thing's aluminum. Why is it aluminum? And so I went back and started looking at the manuals and so forth. So there's different ones. And even on the F mounts, there used to be some that had 5 mounting screws and some that had 4 mounting screws. All the heavier lenses obviously will have 5 mounting screws, the big telephotos and so forth. But the sizes that, the lenses that we're talking about, they're all going to be 4 mounting screws. But I was kind of surprised that they had an aluminum version, and then they have their typical nickel-plated brass version. So I found that part number and looked it up, and it was just like less than half the price. So I said, oh, I'm just going to order that. So I have both. But anyway, so that's sort of the background.
Okay.
So what you're going to need for parts? I don't know. Can you see my cursor?
Yes.
Yep.
All right.
Yeah.
You can point.
You can point. Yeah.
So, the brass one, this is the part number 127 EC. If you want to go aluminum, you can do that. I'm just telling you, you can do 2 of them for the price of the aluminum flange. The 130 ZR is the aluminum. Then what most people don't realize if you get them is they don't come. You know how you have that little tiny screw that looks like it's sitting proud on the side of the flange.
Mm-hmm.
If you ever looked at your flanges, as the screw that sort of you see the screw head sticking out, and what that is it's actually an anti-rotation stop. Essentially, as you put your lens on, that hits a point in the flange on the camera, so you just don't keep rotating the lens all the way around.
Mm-hmm.
And the flanges don't come with that, so you have to order that screw as well. That's 50 cents, not a big deal. And then the actual gasket for that. Tools, I would highly recommend getting JIS screwdriver if you don't have one. A lot of people tend to just use a Phillips. You can very easily strip these screws of a Phillips because it's a different pattern. Not pattern so much, but the angle is different, and it's not as sharp with a Phillips as it is with the JIS. And you can get them regularly; they're not that expensive. And then if you have some fine tweezers, I highly recommend those. Especially for the side ones. Sometimes they're so small that it's easier to hold while you're starting the screw. So, and the tools. So JIS screwdrivers, as I was mentioning, you can get them Amazon, MasterCar. I don't know if anybody here. I know Jeff will be familiar with McMaster.
Oh yeah, bought tons of stuff from McMaster Card every day.
So Vessel is a common JIS screwdriver brand that you can get. If you want to get, for instance, this screwdriver, and you're going to need, I would recommend you get a P00. If you can get the P000, that would also be useful. The P0 is fine for the sort of the axial ones, but the side ones, I'd recommend a P00. So you can get the screwdriver. I don't think this comes in a P00. That's why I ended up getting the hex bits at McMaster. They're like $3 or $4. So that's what this is over here. And if you have a 1/4-inch hex drive, that's very useful because this is also magnetic, and so that helps in dealing with these small screws.
Hmm.
The other things you can get is kits. This Vessel has a set of kits where they have like a jeweler screwdriver kit, and they'll have 2 or 3 of the Phillips and 2 or 3 of the flatheads, and then Moody's is a similar kit. So you can hunt around for that, but they're not expensive. Amazon is probably the best place to go searching for it if you don't deal with McMaster Card. You do have to pay for shipping on McMaster. So to get the parts, you would go to parts.nikonusa.com, and this is sort of the screen that shows up when you go there, and you just put your part number in the search box, and you get them. These are the prices: $18 for the flange. Can't beat that. Like I said, the aluminum one's $40. I think it was 38 or so when I bought it, so it's gone up a couple of bucks for whatever reason.
And which one did you end up installing? The brass or the
The
aluminum?
brass one, yeah.
Okay.
The gasket's $4, and that screw's 50 cents. So for $23, $22, you can replace the mount.
Okay.
Plus shipping at $7.50 for shipping. The screws that are going to be on the 40 and 28, because it's a plastic flange, are different than the screws that would be associated with a metal flange. So just reuse the screws you have. But you may want to buy a couple spares or something like that in case you lose one in the process. You don't want to go halfway through and then realize you got to go order another screw and pay $7.50 for that. And you may as well download the repair manuals too. There's a link for repair manuals and parts lists and so forth. They have not everything. They have maybe half of the Z lenses they have repair manuals for.
Okay.
Most of the cameras as well. They have those. I think all the cameras probably. Well, not all. They have the Z3, but not the Z3. The Z6 III, but not the Z6 1 or 2. I think.
Okay.
Actually, I think I have the.
That's interesting, Robert, because when they launched that system, remember there was only like one camera and one lens, and then they expanded, and now you tell us that almost everything is there.
Yeah, I thought I had. No, maybe not. Oh, here it is. No, I must have closed out of it. So I thought I had the site available, but yeah, the manuals are you can just download them. They're all PDFs. So this is actually like a little screenshot from the exploded parts view on the F to Z adapter. So I just sort of use this to sort of as a guide. So these 3 parts are essentially what you're going to be replacing: the flange, the gasket itself, and then adding that little screw to the flange. And that's what these are, these top 3. On these screws, one thing to note is the screws that are for the mount, the axial screws is what I'm calling them. Those are all the same. The 4 are the same. The radial screws that go on this back cover, there's 2 different ones. There's a single, and then the other 3 are the same. So you notice here, there's 3 of that screw and 1 of that screw. And if you want to order some spares if you have one of these lenses and you want to do this, these are the part numbers for those. But again, if you download the manual, you'll be able to see all that. And so what it is this single screw is a little bigger head for whatever reason. But this screw is like maybe a 2.5 millimeter head, and these are 2 millimeters. But this is the one that holds the contact, the pad, and you'll see that. the two flanges, again, aluminum versus steel, or not steel. I thought it was steel at first, but it's not, it's brass. There's really no difference. They're identical as far as dimensions, obviously. The only difference I noted was that this little cutout was a little bigger on the aluminum one, as you can see. But that it doesn't interface with anything on these lenses. It may interface with something else. And then the aluminum has a couple of electrical bonded areas for ground strap, where you don't need that with the brass. And I think they do that because aluminum will oxidize, and then you're not going to get a good contact. And so what they do is they do electrical bond prep there, and you can barely just see a little square there. And then there's two of them. There's another one over here. Because I had my 26 pancake, I took it apart, which had an aluminum one, and you could see the ground straps right under that, where those two spots are. And then the electrical contact block that just aligns with these two notches, and those are the same on both sides. So again, the two flanges are the same. Use whichever one you prefer. I just went with the brass one mainly on cost, even though I had already bought the other one. But all right, so disassembly. Obviously, you're doing this at your own risk. You decide to do.
Don't blame Bob. Don't blame Bob.
So this is just your overall view. This is the plastic mount over here. I would start with the radial screws, removing them. As I mentioned, there's two different ones. There's three that are all the way around. And then there's one that's where the contact pad is. You could take them all four out at once if you want. Just keep track of this, because they are different size. And then once you do that, you just pop the rear cover off. You can just lift it off easily. It's not a big deal. And then that electrical contact block, whatever, you could separate it from the flange at that point too. And then once you take those off, this is sort of what it looks like. You just have, this is, on the plastic ones, this is what it uses for a ground strap. It just has a ring all the way around, whereas the other ones are different. Well, one word of caution, don't hold the lens by this part of the barrel as you're taking these screws off, because this will just slide right out. That started moving on me. So you gotta grab it at the other end or palm it. And the reassembly part, as I mentioned, this is the electrical block. There's two little tabs there that just align with the notches. And then you're going to need to put the gasket onto the back of the flange. There's a little, if I go back, there's a little, machined out relief on these for the gasket, right? So it sits flush with the back of the flange.
It's just held by friction, correct?
Yeah, you stretch it a little bit, not too much. It does, but it is a little bit undersized, and so you stretch it on, and then it just lines up. It will probably come off as you try to put it on, but oops, back here. There's going to be a little bit of a tricky part once you start putting the flange back in, and I'll get into that more on the next page. This is that screw that I was talking about. If you haven't noticed before, even the F mounts had the same thing. There's a screw that sticks out on the flange there, and I think that just lines up with a stop and prevents it from rotating any further. The biggest issue when make sure you just align it. There is an alignment pin. You can't really see it, but there's a little pin sticking out here next to one of the screw holes for mounting it, and that will align with. You can see it here, that little slot, right, on the back of the flange. when you go to press it down, it's kind of a tight fit, and the gasket's going to want to grab onto the inside of the barrel, and as you're pushing down, it's going to end up being a little bit sticky and end up too high. I'll just go over here. So it sticks out too far, and that's going to make mounting the lens to your camera difficult. It's going to have a lot of friction. It's amazing how that little bit of extra space really multiplies the friction level. Because when I first put it on, I hadn't noticed that it was stuck like that.
I guess that's why I keep it with a seal.
Yeah, does a pretty good job. And so I went to turn it on and said, "Oh, this is really, really tight." And then I started looking at it more and realized that this was sticking up more than it did on other lenses and so forth. And I sort of took the flange back out. And when you first put it in, you just try to be square on it. And then when you I wouldn't put the screws in and tighten them all the way down. I would just put them in loosely, maybe turn them a few turns, and then just sort of walk around with your fingers and press the edge of the lip down as you go, and try to get it pretty even all the way through. And in the end, you end up with this, right? You're not going to need a lot of lip over, sticking over it. Just zoom in a little bit. But it just sticks up a little bit over that, and that's all you need, and it fits just perfectly.
Okay.
So it might take you 20 minutes, half hour to do it. It's really not that difficult. Obviously, you want to be in a setup over a table where everything doesn't, that you can, anything that falls just stays relatively close and doesn't fall on the floor.
Or work on it in a Tupperware container that's big with a lip on it or something.
Yeah, that's a good point. I did drop one of these screws when I was putting it in, and it fell on this black carpet I have, and it's like, oh, I just figured I lost it, but somehow I ended up finding it. So anyway, that's really about it.
Wow.
Well, I mean, basically, you buy the tools, you have them for other things, and
if you're gonna have,
including the price of the tools, you're talking, you're spending maybe $60, right, at the most.
I mean, and if you're gonna have cameras, you're gonna need JIS drivers at some point if you want to do any kind of maintenance or whatever. So, or any electronics really that are, Japanese or maybe Oriental, Asian, whatever, are going to probably use that standard. So it's a good thing to have in your toolbox.
So Robert, the big question is, when you put it on the camera, everything worked fine?
Everything works fine. I was able to get a 600 millimeter zoom out of it now with that flange, and it's perfect.
Yes. It makes perfect sense to me that if you are fond of that, I mean, changing it to a metal mount, I think increases the value of the lens for sure.
Well, even if you sell it, it should increase the price also. So, or at least keep it the same as new.
You could say you could say you have a special edition version.
That's right. So, it goes on pretty easily.
Okay.
Looks good.
Wow.
And if you want a hood for your 40, again, if you have one or not, this is HR4 rubber hood, so you can just collapse it.
Okay.
Or you can get them for about $10. So
Yeah, I like those.
the HR4, I think, fits 35 to 50 mils or something like that.
Yes. Wow. Well, Fantastic project, Robert. I think everybody that has that 40 millimeter, I don't, should do that. I mean, it's
Yeah, or the 28's the same thing, obviously. I mean, for $30, it's a fun little thing to do.
Hey, that's a good thing. If you live in New England, where when you have those cold days and you don't want to go outside, it gives you something to do.
and how long it took for them to mail you the parts?
If you ordered it, say Monday, you'd probably have it by the end of the week. I think they ship it out in a day or two.
All right.
Their parts ship out of Ohio, so however long it takes for a UPS parcel from Ohio to get to you.
Very good. Thank you very much, Bob.
You're all welcome.
Appreciate it. See, this is the neat stuff that you get with a community that's active with sharing information, because no one's probably even heard any conversation about doing this anywhere else. So that's what's great about having the people that we have that partake in this live stream, because a lot of people are willing to share information and stuff, and it doesn't matter. It makes it more interesting. And hey, you probably made a whole bunch of people really happy that they could do it for a minimal amount of cost. And
Yeah.
A lot of people were disappointed that the 40 didn't have a metal mount.
Exactly.
So
And it's the same thing with DX lenses, right? Most of the DX lenses are plastic mount.
yeah.
I think Roy complained at one time that when they changed from the F to the Z mount, that they went from 5 screw to 4 screw. I think most of
And
the
I'm still complaining.
A lot of my F mounts are 4 screws. The smaller ones are 4 screws. On the body of the camera, yes. The mount on the camera went from
It's 4.
5 to 4. Yeah.
okay, but the lenses are
But
either 4 or 5.
the lenses, my 500 PF has 5 screws,
Okay.
but my for instance, my tilt shift lens has 3 screws. My 24 tilt shift only has
Okay.
3. So again, it's the same thing with the F mounts. They use a varying different amounts of screws. It's all based on the weight. What load do you need?
I'm more concerned about the screws in the body than the lens.
Yeah, that's the part that they changed. And people have had, there's been horror stories of people dropping their cameras and having it rip the mount off the body.
I'm one of them.
Roy's one of them. Roy's one of them. That's why he's bringing it up.
So, Randall, do you have any of these lenses that Robert?
Yes. Yes, I have 3 of them each.
3
Just
of them?
126 millimeter, but I got 3
26
28s and 3 40s.
Oh, the 26 has already got a metal mount.
Yeah, but I'm talking about for the hood. So you're showing the rubber.
Yeah.
I'm putting up the HS9, which is I got that from Raymond Parker. He suggested to get these old hoods, and
Yeah.
they just clip on, and they
Yeah.
work great with the 28 and 40.
Yeah, what I like about that rubber one is I can leave it there all the time.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Collapse it. Whereas the metal hoods, you have to unscrew them to pack and so forth. That's why I went the rubber route.
I got one of those on my what was it? 28 millimeter for the Canon RF. So.
And if Bob drops it, it bounces right back off the ground, right back into his hand again.
There you go.
So just like a Super Ball, man, works great.
But Randall, you don't have any of these lenses that have the plastic mount, correct?
Well, you said the 28, right?
28 and 40 both are plastic.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I got.
Okay.
They're all plastic.
I think it makes sense to do what Robert showed here.
Yes. So now you have a permanent reference here to go back and watch whenever you want to attempt to do that. And just get the right tools, like you said. Get the right screwdrivers. Don't muck around with a standard Phillips screwdriver set.
And what is the main difference between the two? The These Japanese.
The angle of the
The Phillips is more rounded
Okay.
on the flutes.
Okay.
With the GIS, it's very sharply defined, and the angle of it is maybe a little steeper. So
Okay.
the Phillips is maybe like this, and the
Oh,
GIS is, if I can do this, and but
so you're only getting, you use the Phillips, you're only getting the very tip of it
right,
doing all the work.
and
you know?
you can easily strip
And
them
that's
out.
why you strip them out, or you strip the screwdriver itself.
And even with the GIS, you want to put some pressure into the screw,
Exactly.
especially small screws. Small screws are very easy to strip out the heads. So you want to push into it and then rotate. Don't just put it in lightly and start turning, because you can just rotate out of it, cam out of it.
Well, I mean, wow, that's very good.
Good job, Bob. You gonna hang
Thanks.
around here on the panel, or it's up to you?
I'll hang around.
All righty. So
That's-
thank you very much.
You're welcome.
And we'll get a few comments here in the.
This is Jeff. This is a kind of video that you have in this channel and Chuck channel that you're not going to see anywhere. Correct?
No.
Really useful.
So you got a lot of you got several comments thanking you for your efforts, which is great.
Yeah, thank you.
And
Well worth doing.
yeah, and Randall, we did talk about the 28 to 135 a little while back, but they have not. It's basically, they've had pictures of it on Nikon Rumors, but they have never said when it's coming out. They've only
It
said
can't be
that-
long because they're out in the test phase at the moment.
Yeah,
Yeah.
is that one of the shows, right? One of the camera shows.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
it's out in the wild being tested.
It's big. It's
Yeah.
big. It's pretty big.
Not that big.
Fat.
It's
Well,
my
so
size.
Is it an f2.8 or because they got the 24 to 120, which is an f4, so that would be what, an f2.8?
Well, you're paying good money for it because it's the power zoom. It's a power zoom, so it's for video. It's for video.
It's fun.
Exactly.
If you're just shooting stills, I don't think you got to really get too nutty about it. But if you're doing video a lot, you
I
might
want one.
Roy, you just want to have one of everything Nikon ever made. Well, actually, you want two of everything that Nikon ever made,
At least one.
because one's not good enough.
Well, yeah, you got to have a spare.
You
Yeah.
in case, like hey, like in case you drop one, right?
Whoops.
Or you launch one over a cliff. You got to have a spare.
That's the lighting goes over the cliff, not the camera.
Yeah.
The camera went over the cliff, I'd probably jump in after it.
Yeah, so that new lens, I mean, I would think, it's going to be, it's in they just made a development announcement out of it, but like Roy says, he knows people that have it and they're trying it out. So it's not going to be too much longer before they make an announcement on it. I forget, did they throw didn't they throw a hypothetical price tag out there on it, Roy? Do you remember what it was?
I
Was it
wasn't
a little
looking.
No, I
couple
haven't.
thousand?
I only saw the lens
What was
itself. I
this
didn't see
before
it.
the Z52?
Mm-hmm.
I
Yeah.
haven't seen.
Well, yeah, I've never heard that. Wow.
Yeah.
You would think the
the lens
ordinary
itself.
filmmaker might say something about that, but
Hmm.
he didn't say anything either. So.
This is an interesting comment from I believe this is someone maybe new to the chat. Jacoby Wayne sold his archive to Adobe for AI training, 190,000 images.
Woo.
Wow.
Well, that's the way they should go. They want to train their AI, buy on catalogs, correct?
Yeah. And let's see. Albert says the most crucial thing you could do when working with optics is have the right screwdriver size. That's a recipe for disaster.
Yeah.
A tin lid with a magnet on the back is good for holding the screws as well.
Yeah, that's the right tools always make the job a lot easier.
Yeah, and since Randall mentioned Raymond Parker, I extend my well wishes to him, as I'm sure everybody on the panel here does, and so happy that the surgery went well, and that you're home, and that you're out there enjoying nature again, and
He's still making videos.
I'm still making videos, and I know that when he was in the hospital, Matt Irwin helped process his videos for him and get them out there into the YouTube environment. And so thank you to Matt for doing that, being kind enough to do that for Raymond. And it is great to see you back, and continue to improve, my friend. We wish you the best for the holiday season, and hope that you keep on popping out content for everybody. You're a true gentleman on the YouTube channel, and I know I appreciate you out there in the community, because you're a soft-spoken, very, very a gentleman, so much a gentleman, and a lot of experience. You've been shooting for a long time, so take care and do well. And so let's see what else we have. Let me look at my notes here. You guys will get a kick out of this. I always have to have some smart blankety blank comment to make. You know me by now. Bob knows me too well. So for those of you, the few of you, if there are any of you that have way too much money right now, you have money to burn, or you got some brain cells that maybe you've had a few too many drinks and you bumped off a few too many brain cells, you can actually buy a Leica M3 box. And I'm talking just the box for an M3 is selling for over $1,200 right now on eBay. And you guys know that I always peruse eBay because I'm always looking for vintage cameras and stuff. But if you really feel that you've been waiting your whole life to buy
A box.
an empty M3 box for over $1,200, knock your socks off, baby. It looks pretty mint, man. It's out there waiting for you. It's got your name on it. So go out there and go for it.
Crazy.
There has Luis popped in yet, Gustavo? Have you
No.
seen? Okay. He probably won't show up till like 11 o'clock, maybe, right? If anything.
Exactly. Depending when he had to go to work.
Yeah. And Jeff and Leslie saying if you want to donate to the Like a Box Fund, let them know. But I saw that and I says, I gotta note this down because this is like totally insane, totally insane.
Now, Norman, Jeffrey, yeah, Roy's trying to get back in.
Okay.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, his internet dropped.
Is your internet crashed on you, Roy?
Yeah, it did, but just for a minute.
Thank you, Chuck.
Thank you, Chuck.
Chuck, do you want to officially announce your?
Yeah, we can tell everybody now. For Christmas Eve, and I'm thinking about sorry, cat talking.
Cat attack.
Christmas Eve, I'm going to be on here for I don't know how many 30, 40 and 40 2, 3, 4 hours. I'm not sure yet, but we'll be on here especially for those that don't have somebody to talk to. You know, if you want to get on your get on the stream and you want to talk to somebody, you just get on, jump on the jump on the shash, and you know we'll just go to talk first. So I don't know if anybody replies like it, but we usually doing this on Saturday night, or Saturday was when
Christmas Eve night.
yeah,
Yeah.
Christmas Eve night, and we get a lot of people staying. You know, we picked up a few different people that are just listening to the campus. So if you feel like you want to join it, by all means, jump in there and go to town.
What time are you going to start at 9 o'clock?
I know I don't know yet for sure, but probably around 7 o'clock, and who knows what time it'll go on. I don't know.
Yeah. All right. So everybody look and check out Chuck Christmas Eve around 7 p.m. Eastern time. Check his channel, AP Studios. He'll put a thumbnail up there or whatever, and you can click on it to send a reminder to yourself so you don't forget. So make sure you do that. Yeah, Chuck, you did that last year, I remember, and I think you've done that every year.
Yeah, we do it every year for 1 hour. I mean, for several hours, and everybody, somebody to talk to us.
Yeah. No, it's important. It's important. Not everybody has family around or whatever, you know.
Yep.
We're not all lucky.
Well, if we only had one person that wanted to speak to somebody, it's a big task, you know.
Yeah. But everybody remember that, and we'll remind everybody next week's show too, because that'll be a few days before Christmas, and we'll put out a reminder to make sure that you check that out on Christmas Eve.
Yeah. Mustache.
So we thank you for doing that, Chuck.
Oh, no problem at all.
And in that show, you never know what's going to happen.
That's right.
Strange thing happened in that show.
Yeah, well, you never know who may show up.
Exactly.
Ho ho ho! You never ho ho ho. You never know. The on Nikon rumors here, they didn't really have a lot of stuff.
Well,
they talked about the Viltrox autofocus 35mm f1.7 APS-C lens for the Z mount is coming soon. The price estimate is only a whopping $100. So I will just leave it at that, $100. The updated teaser from 7 Artisans will most likely be an 18mm f5.6 full frame lens for the Nikon Z mount. And Ulanzi has updated their cooling fan, which was compatible with a number of camera bodies, but it is now compatible with the Nikon Z30. So you can add a cooling fan to your Z30 if you're shooting video and you want to keep your camera cool. It runs for, I rounded it up to $40. It's probably $39.95, but I'm just saying $40. You can look into getting that cooling fan if you're interested in it. And they published the National Comedy Wildlife Award 2024 award winners were announced. and I looked at all the pictures that they have them on Nikon Rumors, and there were some that were pretty doggone funny. They were
I see that every year. It's my
Yeah.
favorite.
they were pretty good. I mean, some poses that some animals and wildlife give you, you can't help but laugh. Even
That squirrel shot was pretty good.
oh yeah, yeah. Even the was it the praying mantis shot was interesting. How it was like showing off its body, you know. A lot of good shots there. Go check it out if you haven't gone there to look at them yet. And then if you want some, speaking of bodies, if you want to some really strikingly good or bad body covers, depending on your opinion, the ZFC Harrow-Boney edition cameras are now available through the Nikon USA website. And if you've seen those body covers, let's just say they're a lot more hip than I am. So there's nothing there that would entice me to buy one. But for the younger generations, I'm sure there's a lot of artistic renderings on some of those body covers that may interest you and get you to buy a camera because of the looks, not necessarily because you know anything about cameras, but you'll like how it looks and you'll buy one.
Are these the skins that you put up there?
Well, they're already on the camera, and there's a whole assortment of different styles from different artists' designs that you can get for your ZFC right now. And you can buy them from Nikon USA, and you can go to the website and look at them.
You're talking the ZFC, yeah, the
ZFC, not
right,
the ZF, the ZFC.
They had them in Japan only, and then they just recently released them.
Right.
Here.
I think they replaced the leatherette, correct? With this.
Yeah.
Right.
The leatherette is replaced with a covering with a more artistic flair to it.
Right. There's like 6 different.
Yeah.
The only problem with that is if you ever have that come off, right, and you have to send it in, they don't guarantee they'll have replacements, and then it'll just get replaced with a black leatherette.
Exactly.
One thing I found is that they're also starting to sell the GR1 grip for the ZF on Nikon. I got mine from Nikon directly. You can't find it if you go to their website, but if you do a Google search for Nikon GR FC or whatever it is, I forget, GR1 ZF, you'll find a link for Nikon USA, and you can buy it from them. And it's a Nikon USA. They just don't put it on their website. I don't know how.
And Robert, that was the grip that was originally only available in the Japanese market, correct?
Right. This one here.
Wait, let me drag you over so people could see it.
It's a little bit shallower than the small rig one, maybe. But it fits nicer. All the contours are matched. You've got a little bit of a pad in the back, so you can put your thumb against it. Again, I don't have a big problem with the ZF and whether it has a grip or not, because I'm not using this to shoot a 600 mil.
Exactly.
And
I tried it.
Oh, I know you can.
No, I did. I tried it I tried it because I wanted to see how good the autofocus system was.
But I'm not a gangster.
But I would not use it for that. No.
I'm not a gangster style shooter. I don't shoot one-handed. I always have 2 hands.
Yeah.
So I don't get all the big uproar, or it doesn't have enough of a grip.
Now, what are they charging for the grip?
It's pricier than the small rig. It's $99 or $99.95, whatever it is. Okay. But if you want one, you can actually get it in the U.S. now from Nikon USA directly.
Oh, wow!
And I think they have it for the ZFC too. I don't know if I saw that as well.
Can you just maybe type in a comment in the chat so we have it on, so it shows up in the record here? People can refer
the part number.
The part number, if you know it.
Well, what you do is you just do a Google search for Nikon. I'll have to look up the part number now. I think it's GR1-ZF. Let me just try it while we're talking and see if that comes up.
Okay.
And let's see, Nikon GR1-ZF. Yeah, and the first link that comes up is a Nikon USA link. If I copy this, will it go to the chat?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, it should.
yeah. Or just share the screen. Yeah,
Well, I'll just put it in the chat. That
yeah,
way
yeah, yeah, yeah. That'll work.
because whenever I try to put a link in the chat, it doesn't. Google doesn't let me do that.
Okay, then
Okay.
just put it on your share screen. Or
Well,
we can do the same thing.
Did it go through?
I see. No. But Mosman put the FCZR1 is the part number.
FC-ZR1.
It's there. I'll put it in the.
So you just search that and that should take you right there.
I tell you one thing, Robert. I would show a video or not a video, a small presentation of that. I was buying some parts to for my tripods, right? You know, something that allows you to grab. I got the video in there or that presentation in the making, but help you to grab to put a a connection into the and I know I bought some from I think it was some small rig and I bought some from Real Rice stuff, correct? And obviously
I copied what you sent me, Bob, and I stuck it in the chat.
Okay.
the difference in
There now.
prices are significant between the two. And probably both will work for what I wanted to say, but you can see the Real Rice stuff is much better made. The quality is, and the same happened with those Japanese parts. I'm sure that they are a lot better made.
Oh yeah.
The quality of the
I
material.
like the really right stuff.
Yeah.
Stuff.
Exactly.
Well, and I'm a big fan of their lever clamps. I just don't like the knobs. But
Yes.
anyway, I digress.
That's all right. Digress is name of the game on this show.
So, Mr. Jeff, since you were talking about the rumors, correct?
Yeah. So let's see what else we got from Nikon rumors. Not a lot.
The two registered cameras. That's a big rumor.
What's that?
The two registered cameras.
Yes, 2 registered cameras. One which is supposedly, according to Nikon rumors, that the replacement for the P1000 they call those bridge cameras, the ones that have the really long zoom capability. So they're assuming one of them is a replacement for that, and what the other one is, there's no comment. Well, they're saying, I don't know if the other one is a body. I mean, he implied it's a body, but of course they're saying that the 35 millimeter 1.2 is supposed to come out. We keep hearing that for what? How many months? How many months has that been?
No. Those two registered those
are bodies, according to him.
bodies. Okay?
Yeah.
And the thing is, remember when we talk about the number of cameras, the average cameras for Nikon per year is about 2.5, right? So last year they were on par with their trend. So we should expect to see 2 cameras.
Well, if they both come out, well, we'll see when they come out. I mean, if they come out in for next year, then at this point, I would say they're going to come out next year.
Well, I mean, in the past when we have seen those registers, I think it's probably Asia where they get published, right? I think it was from Indonesia one, and the other one was Malaysia or something like that. It's about they have to register those cameras like 3 months in advance, right?
Yeah, so those may be cameras that become available for their next fiscal year.
Exactly.
Right, which would be April 1st.
Exactly.
Of next year would be their next fiscal, so the beginning of their next fiscal year. SanDisk came out with some new high-end SDXC cards. Okay, one example is there's a bunch of examples. I wrote down one. They got a SanDisk Extreme Pro UHS 2-2 V90 rated at 300 megabytes per second read and write speed, $129.99 at B&H. It's available for pre-order, and if you look up that SanDisk Extreme Pro, there will be other capacities available at different price points depending on what your needs are. But that's pretty good. V90, 300 megabytes per second, read and write speed. That's good. That's good. Now, there's been a Nikon rumors the last couple of weeks, and they keep it on there. They talk about, the impending firmware update to the Z9, which is being leaked from France, of what that might be. And it's nothing, I think, overly exciting for most people. But anyway, there were some comments that people left regarding the article that's in there about this Z9, the leaked Z9 firmware update that may come out down the road or relatively soon, who knows. But some of the comments that were below it from people that, leave comments on Nikon rumors, I wrote down a few of them because they're interesting, and some of them were a little bit funny. Now, it's interesting that, we talk about, we want to see pre-capture RAW. We talk about, things that are, let's just say maybe a little bit more complicated or a little bit more techie that we might want to see. And some of the comments were, don't forget that believe it or not, that there are features in some of the lower end cameras that are not in the Z8 or the Z9. Okay, so one person said, my Z9 does way more than I need it to do. He says those complaining of the Z9 firmware update should take a look at some other makers. And then he says Sony updates tend to come with a new camera. And then this was interesting, and I didn't realize this. Another person said, how about an increase in the number of custom autofocus box configurations using the C1 and C2 feature? Where custom 1, custom 2 for your size of your box for your autofocusing. He says the Z9 and the Z8 are limited to 20 combinations, 20 choices, but the ZF and the Z6 III have 77 choices. And then goes on to add, why not add the ZF's manual focus eye detection for manual focus lenses and put it in the Z8 and the Z9 and the rest of their bodies. So he says, let's get the low-hanging fruit first, Nikon. Yes, with a question mark. That's a good point. There are some actual features on some of the lower-end Nikon bodies that you would like to see in all the bodies, all the other bodies. So why not? We tend to forget those. I mean, especially the manual focus eye detection. Putting a manual focus lens on your camera is kind of a big help.
Did that make it to the Z6 III?
I don't know if it made it to the Z6 III or not. I mean, it may only be on the ZF. I'm not sure.
You would think it would have. I mean, the ZF just came out first, and then the Z6 III.
Yeah.
So you would have thought that they would have.
Why not roll that into everybody?
It might be that, but when the Z6 III was being made, that firmware wasn't finalized yet.
Yeah. But so those are some of the comics. Another person, said still hoping for pre-capture in RAW, which there's many people that have been saying that, including Richie. Richie's been asking for that or is in favor of that as well. One person said, I just want 240 frames per second video, even if it's heavily cropped 1080p. It seems like the readout speed should be fast enough but not holding my breath. He says, so jealous of the Z6 III for that. So those are a few of the comments from people, you know, in terms of firmware in general, that, you know, don't forget that you have some neat stuff on the lower end bodies that you could also dump on the higher end bodies.
That software harmonization between all the different models is probably a big task, correct?
Oh yeah, yeah. Then you move on to Sony rumors, and Sony rumors, they had their list of possible cameras for 2025, and of course this is all conjecture. You know, maybe there's a little bit of truth in some of these. So they're talking about an A7 V coming out with the body of the A1 II. And of course, the A1 II has the body of the A9 III, right? So basically, maybe they're going to start using the A9 III body for a lot of their higher end cameras, because bottom line is it's a much better ergonomic camera body than the other cameras that they have. So they use the A9 III body in the A1 II. So now they're assuming that they're going to use that again for the A7 V. And they're saying new 44 megapixel sensor, ? 20 frames per second, ? Other possible cameras: Sony FX9, FX6 successor, Sony FX3 version 2 with a 24 megapixel global shutter sensor of the A9 III. Sony AS7 IV. It drives me nuts that they got so many numbers in their cameras. AS7 IV with global sensor, or an A7R6 with a new near 100 megapixel sensor. I don't know. I think that's stupidity to put any 100 megapixel sensor in a hybrid body. That's just
Too much.
it's way too much.
Yeah, but it's a Sony; they'll buy it.
Yeah, and
Well,
then
he says that, but I don't know, man. New technology, can, I don't know.
well, I mean,
That'd
the
be another breakthrough.
61, unless they had some major breakthrough with it, because there's 61 megapixel sensor, you have the diffraction issue, you know, with that.
Yeah.
So it's not going to get any better. It's going to get worse with 100 unless they have a breakthrough in the technology.
Well, I mean, certain things are just physics. You can't do
Yeah.
it. The laws
Yeah.
of optics just don't work.
What's that?
If you start putting smaller and smaller pixel cells, receptor cells, the angle of the light coming in starts bouncing around on the side. And because it's smaller, it's like the Star Wars thing where you're shooting down this very fine slot.
Nope.
But
And
Smaller
then
the pixel sites, more diffraction, and the lower dynamic range.
You guys are stuck on the days, but I don't know, man.
you're overly optimistic, Chuck, of what you think they could do.
I think they, yeah. Who knew this everybody would cause, and I mean all the Z cameras, and and
I think 46 megapixels is a good choice.
45 megapixels.
I mean, right now, I mean, I'm not going to say all, but I'm going to say most reviewers feel that the 45 to 50 megapixel range is the optimum right now for video and stills in terms of a balance.
Agreed.
So, I mean, if they're going to go out with to me, if I don't know, for me, if I want 100 megapixel,
What?
I'm going to get a medium format camera, man.
I don't think I'd want it either, but it doesn't mean they don't have the they can't. They can make it, and who knows what anybody can do now.
Well, the old saying is like the movie The Field of Dreams: if you build it, they will come. There was a Petapixels had a video recently talking about basically saying that they don't Sony from a technological point of view coming out with the global sensor for the A9 III, to them, that's a chest thumping moment for them or whatever. But they said the bottom line is they're pretty sure, and I'm not saying it's fact, but their opinion was that they have probably not recovered their costs for doing that, and that in terms of a profit, you still have to make a profit on what you do. And their feeling is that they're not turning a profit on coming out with that global sensor. So they said Sony is rethinking some things, because you still have to be able to pay the bills. So just because you can do something, you still have to try to make it so you get your return on investment. People don't come out with stuff just to lose money on it. So I think they're going to be a little more cautious. But when they say they're going to do a 100 megapixel sensor in a hybrid camera, that isn't necessarily going a cautious direction if that's what they do. And then they're talking about an RX1 Rev 3. So I don't know all their part numbers and all their cameras that they have. They got so many. But what's nice about Sony Rumors, though, is they talk about other stuff other than Sony. And Canon Rumors does that too. They had an article about the new Rode Wireless Go 3 microphones that just came out for $299, and that's similar to a microphone from a different brand that I think I talked about last week, but that's they catering it for 2-person interviews, vlogging, podcasts, 2x mini clip on the transmitters and recorders, 3.5 millimeter analog out and USB digital out, easy setup, no menu system, 128-bit encryption, built-in omnidirectional microphones, and 3.5 millimeter mic inputs. A big thing is 32-bit flow audio backup recording, intelligent gain assist sets the levels automatically. Powerful features, and it's customized. You can customize it via an app. And what's kind of cool is a 7-hour rechargeable battery, and it has an 853-foot range with these microphones. So that's crazy. That's so $299. And then they had an interview with the CEO of Sigma, who is teasing a new lens that's never existed before. That's being developed, but they won't say what it is. They just say we are working on a lens that has never existed before. And then Sony Rumors went back to see what their recent patents have been, and I guess they have a patent for a 60 to 700 millimeter f4.5 to 7.4, and they have another patent for a 50 to 500 millimeter f4.5 to 6.5. But so they have no concrete information, but those are the 2 patents that are out there that they have not taken action on yet. So maybe one of those is what the guy's talking about, but he's just putting a teaser out there for the Sony folks and not getting specific at all. And Sony really has registered a new camera as well with the code WW773396 in China, and that's using that source called Weibo, which I don't think Sony Rumors thinks is overly good, but they're claiming it's going to have dual band Wi-Fi support, 2.4 gigahertz and 5.1 gigahertz. And in a nutshell, that if you're going to put that feature in a new camera with dual band Wi-Fi support, they say it's not going to be a cheap entry level camera. It's going to be a high end camera. And once they register a camera, they say it usually takes 3 to 4 months for it to be announced. So we'll see what they're and they're guessing that it might be the new Sony A7 IV, because they have said that camera was going to be announced in early 2025, but they did not share any A7 V specs. So and then now Sony Rumors put together a couple scenarios of what they think the specs could be on an A7 V, and they went down 2 paths. So they have one path listing specs being on the conservative side of things, like an evolutionary update rather than a revolutionary update. And then they did another set of specs, assuming they might make it a revolutionary update. So if you want to see the comparison of what they're in their minds, they're thinking an A7 V could possibly have, then go to the Sony Rumors website and you can look at the list of things. With Fuji Rumors, they got 4 cameras scheduled for release in 2025. They got the GFX fixed lens camera that we've talked about a few times already. They've got the Fujifilm X-E5. They've got a 1-inch sensor, 1/2 frame camera to put out a digital version of a 1/2 frame camera since Pentax came out with their film 1/2 frame camera, which actually has sold pretty well from what I could find out. The film cameras are doing pretty well. So I guess Fuji figures, hey, we'll join the game, but we'll do it with a mirrorless camera, and we'll see if people bite. But it's one thing when you do it on a film camera and you get twice as many shots per roll. You do it on a mirrorless camera, it's not costing you anything. So I don't know what the appeal would be to do it on a mirrorless camera, but
electrons are cheap.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, they're doing it. I don't quite get that, but and interesting that Fujifilm, they've updated its shopping site terms in Japan to prevent large-scale resale purchases. They're introducing new restrictions and a lottery system for high-demand products to ensure availability for genuine customers. So they've got an article that came out on December 3rd talking about that. So I guess they want to make sure that if they have like the camera there that Mr. Ishii bought not too long ago. What was it? The
GXS 100?
The one that was a version 6 now. What was
the Fuji X106?
X106. So they don't want somebody hogging all these things, and then who knows, maybe trying to set prices artificially high and really screw everybody. So they're trying to make sure the consumer that's going to use it is going to be able to get it and not get bamboozled. I suppose that's what they're trying to do. Then if we move on to Canon, and I personally have a bad taste in my mouth when they do this, and it's not the first time they've done it. They're going to do a pay-to-play plan for a new cropping guide firmware update. So they've got, and I've looked at what this does, and just to make it simple, let's just say you're doing a portrait. You'll have a couple brackets that may be on each side of the person's head or each side of the person's shoulders, let's say, and it's an aid so that, let's say you're doing high school portraits or something, and you don't want to, you just, it's like dumbifying the technique. Okay. So, make sure their head is between these two brackets and you're good to go. Just shoot the picture. And then when you go and suck them all into your software, you shouldn't have to do any cropping because we basically gave you these cropping guides on the screen to assist you in being able to do a repetitive portrait, headshot, or whatever you're trying to do. So they're going to put that in. It's for the EOS R50 to R10, R7. And they say it's going to allow their users to more easily frame their subjects through the use of 4 tailored on-screen guides. The new feature will be available in December 9th from Canon USA for the price of $120 US. For customers who have previously purchased one of the camera models compatible with the feature, you have to send your device to a Canon service center and it will be returned with the cropping guide feature installed. This isn't something that you're going to be able to download into your camera. You have to send your camera back to the factory to have this done, because they want to make sure that no one's sharing a firmware upgrade with somebody else, and they're not making their money. So forcing you to send the camera in makes sure that they get their $120. That's basically what that's all about. And it says for new customers interested in the above models, the option to purchase them preloaded with that feature for an additional cost will be available via Canon Direct and other dealers starting December 9th. I think
Canon's going very strange.
I think that's I just think that is poor business model. Poor business model.
Yeah,
Or they've been sniffing the glue they glue the cameras together with.
I mean,
they can make the argument that, well, we have to do labor, right? You send it to us, so we're charging you the labor.
Well, but did Nikon do that with all their Z9 firmware updates?
Well, you download the Z9, right?
Right.
So
but I'm saying
Sony was a little worse in that it was a download and you still had to pay for it.
Yeah.
There's no labor involved on their end.
Yeah.
The worst of both worlds.
They did one free and they still messed it up. They messed up a lot of cameras.
Messed up a lot of cameras, yeah.
That's why you don't trust Sony. So
now
I just think
when you do the firmware updates, what you're doing two things. One, you're making your customers happy. Two, you're extending the life of the camera that they bought. It gives you more time to work on the development of the replacement camera, and the people that bought the Z9 feel like their camera is still competitive with what's out there now, which is still true because of those firmware updates. So it's a win-win. You've kept your customers happy. You kept them in the Nikon
ecosystem
system, and to me, that's an important thing. I mean, but you're going to nickel and dime your customers like this. I mean, but anyway, they're going to do what they do. That's their business model, I guess. So good luck to them. Now, for those, and I know every year I go through this crisis myself, as I say, gee, I'd like to get a printer someday. I want to do my own prints. I've said that for 30 years. I want to do my own prints. And one year I did spend a lot of money on a printer. You know what? I never used it. I never used the doggone thing. So, but every year I say, I'd like to get a high-end printer. I'd really like to have control of the whole process and, have everything calibrated perfect between the camera and the screen and the printer, and everything's perfect, yada, yada, yada. I never do it. But if you're one of those considering buying a printer this year for yourself, for your Christmas gift, Canon Rumors has a review of the new ProGraph Pro 1100 printer from Canon, and the old Pro 1000 is a great printer, and the 1100 is still a great printer. I mean, they're really, really good printers. I mean, I did a lot of research on printers, and if I was going to buy one, it would be a Canon printer.
Yeah.
So it's a 17-inch printer. and there's they have a YouTube link to a gentleman named Keith Cooper who does these intense evaluations of printers of all kinds and all brands. I think he's out of England. I've watched a few of his videos, and and he says it how it is. Like, for example, he called out a few people who have already reviewed this printers. He called them out on his YouTube video that he did. He says he calls them out because they claim that you must go out and upgrade from the Pro 1000, which he called, in British politeness terms, errant nonsense, which it definitely is. He says, compared to the previous model, the differences are relatively minimal. There is a longer paper support, and the new ink set is somewhat improved in several ways: gamut, longevity, depth of blacks. Likely not enough to warrant replacing a good working Pro 1000 printer. And for a lot of people right now, you could save $300 on the current inventory of that Pro 1000 printer, and that may be how you want to go. B&H has a $300 instant rebate, and Keith notes if you have an older version of a Mac operating system or Windows, you may want the Pro 1000 because the drivers are going to support your older operating systems, whereas the new model does not support older operating systems. So if you're going to buy a Pro 1100, you want to make sure that its print driver is going to work with your operating system before you lay out. I think it's $1,200, because I think the old model's now $900 on sale. So keep that in mind. And he says the Pro 1000 support and the ink will be around for many years to come, so you can still buy it with confidence. He reviewed that Pro 1000 printer, came out 8 years ago when he reviewed it. I watched the video, and some of his comments you can relate to in talking about cameras as well. It really is a good video, because he'll say something that we say all the time, and he'll say, well, one of the things he said was, just because a new printer came out, it didn't turn the old one into a piece of junk. The old one is still a great printer. The new one is a great printer. Just because the new one came out doesn't make the old one useless. So that's something that we mention a lot of time with all the camera models that come out. Doesn't mean you can't take a good picture with your old camera. So definitely check that guy out. He's a real interesting guy when it comes to printers. He does a really good job, and you can write to him, and he has, I guess when he does a written, must do a written column or something where he really gets into detail more than his videos, but he'll provide help for people in terms of, setting up profiles, and then I don't know if he sells certain profiles for certain print papers. Like if you get the different types of some brands of printer paper will have specific profiles that you can download from their website for that particular type of paper that you might want to put in your printer, and then you load that profile into Lightroom or whatever you're using to do your printing from. Printing is a very complicated thing, and if you don't print often enough, you end up losing a lot of ink, because it's always trying to clean the nozzles, keep the nozzles cleaned automatically and everything. And if you do just one print a week, you're going to be fine. But if you let it sit there for a month and you don't use it, then you're going to be blowing a lot of money. Those ink cartridges you're spending $700 for a set of printer cartridges for these high-end printers.
Yeah.
You want to make sure that you're going to use it. So
you
And they dry out too.
You have some few comments there from Jonathan De La Rosa in relation to what you're discussing that go to that point.
Yeah. So he's had his for going on 4 years. And then
Good printer.
use the printer every 60 hours, else you're wasting the ink and it becomes very expensive to print. Yeah.
Yep, that's the problem.
That's really the problem you get into. It's like
And the cost of glossy paper.
Yeah, so you got to be printing every couple of days.
Exactly.
well, yeah, and it's like, believe you me, I got a shelf full of prints right now. My wife would kill me if she knew what I paid to make all those prints, and they're just sitting there. So if I bought a printer and I had to print out every 60 hours, if you're not selling the stuff, what are you going to do with all those prints?
Right.
So it's just hard to justify it, but you always have that creative desire to want to have full control of the process from soup to nuts, and it's like the printer is the one piece of the puzzle that's missing. But it is hard. It's hard for me to justify it. It's hard for me to say I'm going to spend $1,200 on a printer, and
Every couple of days, you print a little 3x5 picture.
yeah, I'll do.
It's only half full.
Maybe I could make some money doing passport photos.
There you go. That way you're not wasting paper. You're not wasting as much ink.
Yeah, I mean, I got to do passport photos so that I could justify this printer. But anyway, that's pretty much it for the rumor. So
You missed one, Jeff. There was a Nikon rumor you missed. There was one that I saw earlier today about ramblings about an AFD F2Z adapter. An F2Z adapter for AFD lenses.
Oh, really?
That'd be nice. That'd be nice.
I don't think
Is that
it's
a carry
gonna
over from April Fools?
I don't know.
Yeah.
We've been asking for that for years. And
There's a picture on Nikon Rumors. Nice rendering.
The problem is that you're still only going to be able to, those lenses are still only going to focus so fast.
Well, that's just it. I think one of the comments was people complain that it doesn't focus fast enough.
Oh yeah, but that's a limitation on the motor of the lens. So I mean, it's they'll all the complaining that they want it, when they get it, they'll say, well, it's just not good enough.
Or that it make noise. Of course,
it's noisy. It affects my video. I could hear the noise. Right.
Somebody was commenting, "Oh, this is going to be a power hog. You're not even going to be able to shoot. It's going to draw the power so much from the camera." It's like, how is it any different than a DSLR? All you've done is add the motor to the outside of the camera instead of the inside of the camera, and the DSLR can do it without being a power hog.
Yeah. But that would make people
happy.
I'll say it'll make them initially happy. Will be interesting if they're happy in the long run, but it'll make them initially happy.
One.
I'd get one. I got a lot of f1 lenses.
Yeah,
I'd love one.
So okay. So here's the justification here. Jonathan says before he bought the printer, he had a backlog of 200 photos, so he was covered for a while.
Yeah, at that point, it pays for the price of the printer if you were to try to get somebody to pay somebody to print 200 photos.
Yeah. But
Sending away so cheap now, it's not worth doing it yourself.
well, I used to when I send my pictures out, one of the options that that a lot of these printing services have is, do you want to pay an extra fee to have them make adjustments to your image? And maybe at one time I let them do that, but then once I got in the habit of always calibrating my monitor and being very anal about that. Be honest with you, what I see on my screen is what I get when I order it without paying extra for them to fool around with it. So I haven't had a need to pay the extra money for them to theoretically toy around with any adjustments because you know, as long as I do it right at my end when I order it and just pay for the normal, just print it for me, baby. I'm always happy with what I get back.
I've used Whitewall. They're out of Germany, and for a few prints, they're very good, and you get it within 2 or 3 days. Even though it's coming directly out of Germany, they print it, ship it overnight. I think they have an office in New York City, and then they distribute from there or something. But
well, you know what's funny in that same line of thinking or commentary is I could buy a camera or a lens, a vintage item from Japan, and I can get it delivered to my house quicker than something I ordered from New York the same day.
Oh, things from Japan's going fast, man.
Yeah, it comes DHL and boom, it's at your house like 2 days later. You got it. You know, it's crazy. Yeah. It's like I could order something from Ohio, and I'll get the item from Japan first. It's crazy. Of course, you're paying $40 for most of the time to ship anything from Japan. At least $40, sometimes
well,
more.
if it comes out of Hong Kong, it's really cheap because there's some federal thing where they allow shipping from mail service from Hong Kong to be really cheap. It's a U.S. thing that they did that a lot of people have been saying should be ended.
Well, Canada's sucking wind because their post office has been on strike. It seems like forever. People aren't even getting their mail. David Stewart's been bringing that up like for the last at least 3 weeks, 4 shows. Yeah. Post office is still on strike. I can't get this package or I can't get that. Oh yeah, Gustavo, what you sent him, he still doesn't have it.
Exactly.
He still doesn't have it. What you sent him.
And he went all the way to Australia for Roy. So
well, I think Australia is a lot better than Canada. So
well, our post office only deliver every second day now.
Well, yeah, so does the United States. But one thing about the post office is that Amazon, UPS, FedEx, DHL, if they don't want to go to your house, they just drop it off at the post office and
exactly
they have to deliver it. So it delays it by a day, 2 days, but that's what they do. I ordered through DHL. They used UPS, which then put it in the post office, and I got it in the mailbox. I've never seen that. So,
and Jonathan threw one more comment in here, and this is true. If you really are making prints all the time, it is definitely cheaper to print from home, and the resolution from the printers that you could buy for home are typically higher than the ones they're using when you send your prints out. Most of these printer companies do not do 300 dots per inch. They do 250 or slightly less than that because I've called many of them. I say, how many dots per inch are you doing is your printer? And it's like, 240, 250. I haven't had anybody tell me 300 yet, but you could definitely buy a high-end professional level printer for your home and do 300 dots per inch or more. So you can not only do it cheaper, but you could, if you have everything set up right, you could get a better result. But it's just you can't justify it unless you're using it often enough. I mean, but that's the problem.
The next time that you need to go and buy ink because it dried out, you really kill yourself.
Yeah.
I get mad because my regular printer, I just have I don't know. I mean, the printer's probably maybe 4 years old now, 3 years old, 4 years old. It's an Epson printer.
Yes.
What drives me nuts is for most of the stuff I'm doing, like reference material, something I'm going to read off of maybe if I'm doing something on the show or I want to print out my notes or what have you. I'm always printing it in black and white.
Yes.
And because of the cleaning cycle with the heads, to keep all the heads work and the nozzle's clean. The doggone printer, if the blue ink runs out, it won't let me print a black and white print. It's like, I don't care if I have no blue ink. I don't care if I have yellow ink. I only
That's the
care.
same with all printers there.
Yeah, I only
They all
care
do
that
that.
I have black ink, and I gotta go and replace colored cartridges when 99.99% of the time I'm only printing out in black and white.
Jeff, maybe that's how it makes black. It uses all the colors together.
Oh my goodness! Talk
You need to
about
buy yourself a black and white laser printer.
talk about irritating the heck out of you. You know. Well, I eventually I want to just get one of those big because Shaq supports it. I want to get one of those big tank ones, eco tank ones, so I can have enough ink for.
That
10
probably
years.
makes sense for I mean, I got the same problem. If you want to, you get you pay online and you want to save a bill that you want to print to put it in your archive. That's what we use here to print anymore. And then it had dried out because you haven't used it in the last couple of weeks, right? So printing a single page costs you like $40.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, but ink cartridges are. Yeah, if I have to buy the ink and know what happened, and you know what's going to happen if it says, "Oh, you're out of blue ink," and I've done this before. I go out and I buy just a blue ink cartridge. 2 weeks later, oh, you're out of yellow. You're out of yellow. And so as soon as I get one color that says I'm running low on it, I just buy the whole pack and I just change them all at one time because it's just like. Well, like I said, it's like $60 bucks, $60 $70 to replace the ink.
Yes.
And Mozman has a comment here. He says, I haven't owned a printer yet that I haven't destroyed from not using it enough. I just can't bring myself to buy a Canon Image ProGraph Pro 1000
That's
or
it.
1100. Yeah. Yeah, I can't either, no matter how much my one side of my brain says, just do it. You want it. You want it. But yeah, I would wreck the printer. It wouldn't get used. Would not get used. And let's see, we got I'm gonna go back. Did we miss anything, guys, in the chat at all? I mean,
No.
anything?
No, we are doing okay tonight.
Yeah, and Jonathan said, yeah, they right now immediate you don't have to wait for mailing anything in. $300 off the Pro 1000 right now, $999 instead of $1299.
Yeah, but it's like $400 to $600 for the ink. So
Yeah,
Well,
and
yeah,
the rest-
yeah.
It comes with the ink, so you got 200 shots. Yeah.
Yeah, it comes with the ink, but usually they give you ink
Yeah,
cartridges
but
that
they're
are
not full.
smaller than what
They
you're
only
going to buy when you buy the kit.
They only give it half full though when they first
Yeah,
get it.
Yeah, well, they got to.
And I understand that.
Yeah, they got to get you, man.
they make the
Yeah.
money from the cartridges, not from the printer.
Yeah, exactly.
Hey, you are the fish, and they are the fisherman. They set the hook, and they reeled you in. And now you go, oh, I printed out 5 test prints, and I'm out of ink. What's the deal?
You
Yeah,
buy a new printer, it's cheaper than buying the cartridges.
yeah. Now you got to go out and spend another $600, $700. The thing is, it's like these 17-inch printers. My favorite print size is 12 by 18. That's my problem. I like to print 12 by 18. And because that's the normal. That's the 4:3 format. Okay, 12 by is 12 by 18. It's not 11 by 17 is not what I want. I want to use what matches up with my format that I'm using. I want a 12 by 18 print, and they make a 17-inch printer, and it's like, make a doggone 18-inch printer for crying out loud. And then most of these printers too, are limited. Even on the Canon, when he was reviewing the Canon, he says you could do borderless, but don't do it all the time. The printer doesn't like to do borderless, so don't sit there and think you're going to. And it takes longer to print. And he just said, most of them, they put that little, probably an eighth of an inch, at least an eighth of an inch border all the way around or whatever. And when you think about it, if you're going to put not the frame, the white, the mat on the front or whatever, you're going to cover up that border anyway, so it really doesn't matter. But I want a 12 by 18 print.
I thought the Pro 1000 did bigger than that, didn't it? Or are you talking about the Epson you got?
No, the Pro 1000 is still a 17-inch printer, so the maximum width is 17 inches.
Yeah, but I thought it would do. But that's the width, right? So the length you could put your paper in, so it's
I could
12 inch, but it depends how you put your paper in, right? You put your paper in on the narrow side.
So you could have it.
Yeah. I got you. Because they don't do. I don't think the P1. I don't think the P1000 does roll stock either.
I don't know. I thought it had an option. But
I think the new one, 1100, are saying it can do extended sheets.
Yeah.
Longer sheets.
As Jonathan said in the chat there, I thought it went up to 22 inches. So yeah.
But
you have a couple of.
I too. I agree.
In the chat, there's a couple of messages from Sanjipal, who's selling actually some of his Hornbill prints in Malaysia.
Let me get there. Is this the one you're talking about? I'm just clicking quick.
Yes. And then in another of the chat, he said that it's about $15 US for the print.
Wow. Damn good.
And apparently you can buy it online as well. Now, printing is an issue. I actually skipped last year, but I typically at the end of the year, I try to get like the one best 5 photos, the 5 photos that I like the most from the year, and then I go and replace those in there. So maybe this year I do it and change them around. But I send it to a printer.
I'll tell you something that my neighbor, my old neighbor, before I moved where I am now, when I lived in Conway, we go out to eat once a week. We take him out to eat once a week. So we exchanged Christmas gifts the other day because he goes to Texas to see his family. So he got me something interesting. I'll show you.
So Sanjay, those were the actual print. They are going to be also stamps from Malaysia.
The Hornbill, yeah.
Are they going to be stamps as well? That would be interesting to have.
So it may be something like this. This is what my old neighbor got me, and I didn't know. I used to collect stamps when I was, 15 years old or 13 years old. I used to collect stamps and coins. But he got me this. This was from the post office.
Ansel Adams.
Nice.
Ansel Adams. And all these are images on stamps. These are all stamps.
What vintage is that? Is that
this came out on May 15th, 2024, Yosemite
so this year.
National Park. Yeah. So he, on the bottom it says United States Postal Service. So they came out with a framed, they got a main image on the top and all the smaller images on the stamp. underneath. So he got this for me, which is pretty neat. Because I mean, who doesn't like Ansel Adams?
Yeah.
But you see, that's actually very good. Actually, when the other day I went to the post office, there is a nice set, Randall, of new post office official USPS stamps of hummingbirds. They're beautiful. So I bought two set, and I said, my wife, don't use those. I want those when I. Hey, I bought the sets, so I want to use it when you send something special to somebody, a family or a friend, right?
Well, now you can use their website. You can take a picture of your family, and they'll put that picture on the stamp for you.
Oh,
You know,
wow.
for
You know that. That's
yeah.
by the way, so Sanjay, this is actually a good compliment from Sanjay. He said that yes, those pictures that he took of the hornbills are basically used for the official stamp in Malaysia commemorating hornbills. That's he need you need to do that arrangement, Sanjay, that Jeff did. Put a photo and then the collection of stamps below.
Yeah, there you go.
That would be neat to. So I need to. We need to investigate that, Sanjay. That would be a nice things. But these hummingbird stamps are beautiful, Randall.
Excellent. Well, you know, they've done many favorite people in the past,
Yeah.
and then they started doing the animals. Hummingbirds. I'm thinking of.
He's offering you a trade, Jeff.
Well, I'm looking at the comment that I could print my print size on that printer. The thing is, though, I'd have to trim the print, right? Because I want 12 by 18. So yeah, I could get the 18, but then I'm too long the other way, and I got to trim it. So
Does the paper come in 12 by 18? I don't know. I haven't.
Yeah. So no, I think the paper, if the paper's
13 by 19 is a common
if
size.
the paper's 17 inches wide, right, and it could be as long as you want it. So I got the 17. I'm putting the print. I'm having it print out so that I can get my 18 inches, let's say, in the depth, but it's only 12 inches print area, and the paper is going to be 17 inches wide.
So you're using a roll, not pre-cut paper.
Yeah, I mean, I'm just saying, I don't know if I'd have to trim it. I don't know if they make a well, he's saying that maximum print is 17 by 22. So
Right.
So okay, so I'm covered with the 18, but I'm only 12 inches the other way. So that implies to me that I'd have to trim some of that paper.
Right, but do they make a 12 by 18 paper?
I don't know. Well, they must, because I get. Well, I mean, I buy them that way all the time from where I order my prints from.
Yeah, they make 13 by 19. So I don't.
Yeah, they make 13 by 19. Yeah.
You could always do that. Use 13 by 19, and if you really want 12 by 18, you just put an extra big border and trim it or whatever. I don't know.
Yeah.
We're talking glossy paper here.
Yeah. Yeah, or I like using the what do you call it? The metallic paper. Not metal prints, but the metallic paper I like to use. But anyway,
that's let's see. I think let's all do some printing. I agree, Roy. I like the 19 by 30, right? And I see some
If
of
you're
the
going to
frames.
print big,
Some of those frames are made with mats that fit nicely in a 19 by 30, correct? Because it's the matting and the framing that I spend time on if I send it to somebody to print, correct? Because you still have to spend some time making sure that everything is use the right tape and you get acid-free back and mats, correct?
yeah.
cheap prints fade too quick.
Here's the Sanjit's Stamps has a nice ring to it. So he's saying his stamps are already available. Launched on November 10th
In Malaysia.
in Malaysia. Yeah. Well, I wonder if you can order. Can you order well, I used to buy international stamps when I collected stamps because I didn't like the U.S. stamps at the time when I was a kid because let's face it, U.S. stamps were boring. U.S. stamps were like a building, an ex-president. I don't care. I want, I like the stamps from foreign countries because they were like, really, they were color. They were beautiful. They were like, like you said, hummingbirds or butterflies or landscapes of the country or whatever. They were like enjoyable to look at, where U.S. stamps were like so boring and dull that I never collected any U.S. stamps. But I was able to buy. I wonder if he could. Sanjit, if you know of like somebody that a company or whatever that sells stamps from your country that one can order online, let us know, because I know there are stamp companies out there that do acquire stamps from foreign countries and then they resell them to people all over the world that want to get a certain collection of stamps from their non-native area that they live in. So maybe you can look into that.
Let me see if I.
Or go online and just type in
Yeah.
type in and see if anything comes up. We got someone from
eBay.
we got someone from the post office here on the panel. Help us.
Yeah. Well, I just put one up there. That's for the post office, but you can go to eBay. You just do a search and you can get used or you can get brand new ones. And they got a lot of distributors on eBay.
Yeah.
So you can go that route. But it just depends what you're looking for.
Yeah.
I put up a link to the U.S. Post Office with all of their stamps that they're selling. So you can get the older ones too, if you're a stamp collector. So.
But anyway, what else do we got going on? Anybody have any?
I was sharing those mule deer pictures. Yes.
You have them in up in the queue here?
Yep.
All right, give me a second to.
The three guys that have been hanging around.
That have been hanging around.
I got 24, but yeah. Oh wow.
Yeah. So this is let me make it a little bit bigger here. So this is one of the males, mature male that have been hanging around. These guys have a chance of surviving because you can see here the one of the antlers is damaged already in one of the fights.
Yeah, the one on the right.
Yeah,
up in there.
So it's likely that he will be survive because it will not be desirable for these hunters. Okay, so these guy having around. I think the next guy that having hanging around is, let me show you this one. This is actually a young buck that has a beautiful horns, and he's the younger of the three that have been hanging around. Doesn't have that much success chasing the girls, but he's going to be beautiful. You can see that he's not as mature as the other, but his horns are very well formed.
So what you're saying though is if the hunter's just looking for a rack to put on the wall,
yes,
that's what they're not going to kill one that has any damage.
That's unfortunately the sad situation, but that's the reality, correct? They're trophy hunters, correct? Because they get their tag for a mule deer, and they get a tag for a male or a tag for a female, different prices, okay? But then any mule deer doesn't have a good rack, it's not going to be killed. So this guy, for instance, has less chance of surviving, although he's younger and hasn't bred yet, from this guy because he probably already bred. And in one of the fight, he lost part of the antler, but the other one had nicer antler. Now, my favorite this year have been this guy, and that's what I photographed them, correct? Because
Well, you just came up with the solution to the hunting problem. You got to go out there and chisel away part of the antler on every single one of these
and
guys.
they do, some people, I think for some critical species, they dehorn them, right? So this guy, he's the of the three, this is the bigger male, and I haven't seen him for like a week and a half, but he probably, we are at the back end of the rut, but the hunting season, the second part of the hunting season, start tomorrow after the so I will see. I mean, I want to make sure that my signs outside are but this guy is beautiful because see the bigger males are, you know, the neck area is a lot more developed in the head, right?
I put up Randall's link, by the way, everybody, for the U.S. Postal Service collector series stamps.
So this again with the 600 PF, which is kind of my to-go lens with when I have to go and grab something quickly. But you see, these guys are so habituated, you can get relatively close and they're not going to be scared, but that makes them vulnerable, correct? So now they have to survive the next 15 days.
Yeah, more die from starvation than killed, so, or even hit by cars.
Yeah, sometimes they get hit by the car too. Particularly at this stage when they're in the road, they're chasing the females. They're crossing the street without. But inside the subdivision here, nobody is traveling high speed. So sometimes, yeah, in the bigger roads they get killed, but here it doesn't happen. I'm sorry, I left the guy here for the for centering the letters here. So anyway, so these are the three guys. Let's see how many of they survive. Later in the spring, I check if anyone has dropped the antlers in my property.
Well, talking about the hunting, when we're at the park now, you know, we hear bam, 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 because the duck season, they're out there killing the ducks, right?
Exactly.
So they actually have like specialized boats. They put it in the marsh, you know, a few miles up from where they can't actually hunt in the park. But when you get outside of the boundaries of the park and you're still in the marsh area, they have special camouflage boats and everything, and they go out real early in the morning. I'm talking, you know, before the sun comes up. They're all in position, and when you're in the park, you just hear all the guns going off, killing all the ducks. But you know, you don't see them with the ducks they shot because they're, you know, a few miles up the road or whatever. But yeah, I remember one time we were up that area where they go out on the boats, and a guy's boat died, and somebody had to tow it in, and it was like, oh, that's cool, you know, it was all camouflage and everything, and they just poked their guns out, you know.
Oh, hunters, they do spend. They put a lot of effort to get.
Yeah. Yes, they do.
A lot more than I think some of them. So let's see if we can find that website from where Sanjay's photos and stamps are. Let me see if I can find it here. Because I see Mossman found it.
They still have the Ansel Adams frame.
Yeah, that came out in what, early 2024? And
I think you said May, Jeff. That Ansel Adams one?
Yeah, that was. Let me look at the date again. That was May 15th of this year.
Yeah.
Yeah, if I just type in hornbill stamps from Malaysia, it all shows up with a bunch of stamps that you could buy from eBay.
You got to go to Google Malaysia. What's the country code for Malaysia?
Yeah, Google does have a Malaysia office in Kuala Lumpur.
Yeah, he didn't get paid for a commission, but at least they're celebrating it.
Yeah.
Let me see if these are the ones. Yeah, I think.
Well, you have to go and change your Google search engine to go to Malaysia. So you have to go in the Google app, and in the top right, you got to tap your profile picture or your initial settings, language, and region, and search for the region that you want. And then you tap what you want to get the search results from, and then you would get Google Malaysia. But I'm not going to try to do that while I'm doing the show, obviously. But
Sanjit has the link. He can email it to you.
yeah.
Yeah, he's doing it now.
Yeah, just send the link, Sanjit, to my email, selectiveimagery1@gmail.com or n.jeffrey1959@gmail.com.
Susan, yeah.
Yeah, so Greg's validating the cost here. He's talking about having, he's got to get another set of 12 cartridges for about $630. Right, and earlier on, he made a comment. I think by the time he went through, everything he had to go through. Okay, here he goes. It came with a full set of full 80 milliliter cartridges. He says it uses about half the first set to prime the printer. So he printed about 68.5 by 11 prints and a 13 by 19, and then he had to start replacing cartridges after that.
Man.
So he sent you the link, Jeff.
Okay.
What I do, Jeff, if Sanjay send it to me, because I'm using for the live stream Google Chrome, but I can share the image on Safari, correct? And then you can use the share window option.
Yeah. Okay. I haven't gotten anything from him yet. But
because I saw something on you have it there. Yeah, when I search for the Malaysian stamps, but I don't know whether that's the ones that Sanjay did.
Yeah. But yeah, Greg, it's printing. I mean, printing is cheap if you use it. It definitely is. Not only is it cheaper, but you're going to get better quality than you're going to get from when you're sending it to, if you got everything set up right. But the key is, do you use it? That's the big question. I mean, my wife's already told me. She says, "There's no more room for any more of your stuff."
So share my screen briefly here. Yeah. So that's if you go to Google, right? So these are some of stamp images, but I don't know whether these are the one that Sanjay did. Right?
Yeah.
They're beautiful. I hope they are.
There you go. Right on the. Oops. Did you just turn it off?
Yeah, because
Silo?
yeah.
Well, I was
You
just
said-
looking at on the right hand side. One of them, I think the price was like $10.33,
Yeah.
which hey, that isn't bad.
Yeah, I share again.
Over here on the set Malaysia iconic birds horn.
Yeah.
It says base price $750, delivery tax $10.33.
That's not bad.
No. So be there or be square, man.
So does John Nishi live in Malaysia or does he live in Hong Kong?
He lives in Malaysia.
Right.
In Malaysia. Now, I think, and Chuck might know, I think that, because we haven't seen him in a while, I think someone said that Wayne Maddox, I guess, bought an electric car, and somebody said he's doing a lot of YouTube videos on electric car stuff.
Well, I saw him on John Nishi on Mr. Wu. He made a comment. So,
Okay. And
yeah.
but we haven't seen Wayne in a long time.
Yeah.
And I know he was in Malaysia for a while, then he'd go to Hong Kong, then he'd go to somewhere else. There were like three areas that he would stay in for a brief period, for maybe 6 months at a time or something, and he would go to a different spot. But I thought that he had decided to move to Malaysia, but I'm not 100%.
Well, he went to England also. So,
here it is.
he was trying that one place in Malaysia, and then the next thing I heard, he went to England, and then that was it. He just kind of dropped off. But
Yeah.
So I got it, Jeff. Let me just share. Hold on a second here, because you know how it is. Things are behind one screen and the other. But
Yeah.
I think I got the same from Sanjay. So these are his collection. Wow,
Okay.
that's beautiful. Fantastic.
it's gorgeous.
You're sharing, correct? Okay.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, didn't say he did 10 of them.
He did send me I just got his email.
A
So
link to this one here.
Yeah, 10 of them. He has 10 of those stamps that they took.
So I'm going to
Yeah.
put it in the chat now. Here's the link. Hopefully it goes in here all right. There you go. There's the link, guys.
All right.
And these are official stamps. And Sanjay, are all these images yours?
Yeah. He said it was all 10 of them.
Okay.
Fantastic.
It's just gorgeous.
There you go.
October 11th, 2024.
He says, get the folder set. He says that'll be the complete edition for less than $15 US.
Very good.
Thank you very much. I'm going to make a note of this to myself.
Then, Sanjay, you send us a print, and then we can do that arrangement that you have with the stamps underneath and one of your prints.
Yeah.
Who's got a printer that needs to print some stuff before the ink dries out?
No.
Quick, print all
Latest
these
don't
out.
go yet.
Fantastic.
Yeah, there you go.
So let's see what happened.
Oh, November 10th. Okay. I thought it was October 11th, but it's November 10th, 2024. All right.
Yeah, the U.S. does their dates different. We do month then day. The rest of the world is day then month.
Yeah.
All right, guys, back to normal here.
Back to normal. So they got, folder set. Yeah. If you click on the purchase it, I went, from what he sent me on my email, you go to purchase it. It comes up and it says folder set. And so I will complete that after the show. But thank you, Sanjit. We'll support. Hopefully, does he get it? Does he get a kickback from that? I hope. Does he get something?
No.
More likely not.
Yeah, all he said was at least they're celebrating it. So
Yeah.
Now, it'd be awesome if they used the hornbill stamps to mail it to you on the outside of the package.
Yeah.
So you get 2 sets. You get set inside and whatever comes in the package.
Hey, I'll order them. Beautiful birds. I mean, I'll never see one personally.
You see, Jeff. The trick that we need to apply is the following. Okay, Sanjay is encouraging us to go and visit him to photograph this bird, but we know that can be, it can be difficult. So what we need to do is Sanjay to convince John Ishii to go with him and photograph, and if John can do it, then we can plan a trip to Malaysia.
John's in the same region,
Exactly, but we use John as a guinea pig.
Well, yeah.
If John survive going with Sanjay, then we can say, okay, let's visit Sanjay.
So Sanjay, get a hold of John and tell him that everybody on the panel volunteered him to be a guinea pig to go out with you and take pictures of the hornbill.
Exactly.
See what he says. Because he keeps saying, I love the Z6 III. I love the Z6 III. We'll go out there with the Z6 III and get some hornbill shots.
Exactly. He has that. No Diana. Diana we know can do it, but it's
Diana's going to be using medium format.
Exactly.
She's a medium format queen. She uses the medium. I tell you, she does some wicked good.
She can use that. She can use that 500 millimeter medium format.
Oh yeah. She does some wonderful things, doesn't she? With a camera, wonderful shots.
Yes.
Very, very, very good. But, let's see what we got here. Here's an interesting. I don't know. I probably missed the original comment here. This might be Mosman's follow-up. Be interesting to see what percentage of Nikon users save their boxes as opposed to other brands.
I do.
yeah.
I have a fair amount of them, but I don't have all of them. I think when I moved, I probably, because of moving to when I originally moved down here, I was moving into a much smaller home, like half the size of what I had. And I think I probably at that time said I'm not going to pay to ship empty Nikon boxes to Myrtle Beach area. So I probably got rid of the boxes.
You got to just put all the cameras and lenses back in the boxes. And then
I think the only boxes I have now are
the one that we see.
Ones you see are Z-mount stuff. I think all my F-mount boxes got. See ya.
Same here, but I'm keeping the C-mount ones.
Yeah, I've been keeping all them. Well, I'm back into a bigger house again, so I could do it. But I mean,
Yeah, I have all the boxes that if I bought it, like somebody else said, if I bought it, it came with a box. I still have it.
yeah.
Yeah, I used to have the boxes in the closet where, you know, the main coat. And my wife got mad at me because I was putting it in there. She used to put her shoes, you know, come in from the outside in a little cubby hole to put them in there. And she says, they got to go. So I got me a shelf, and they're now in the garage. And taking the whole shelf with all the boxes I have. I have Canon, Sony, Panasonic, Leica, Nikon, and Kodak.
Just remember, don't put a charcoal grill in there if the coals are hot, because you're just going to set your whole house on fire real fast. All your Nikon boxes are going to go poof.
Well, that's why I didn't put them in the attic. You know, I just
Oh yeah, yeah.
It
it's hot up
spontaneously combust up there.
there. Yeah.
Real nice. Jim says he's got 2 closets full of boxes. Yeah. Roy, you have a separate room just for boxes because you have all the
No,
stuff.
they're all on top of the shelves, though. They take up most of the shelves. I like the boxes because it reminds me where they came from.
Okay, Mozman's saying he ran into a snag ordering the stamps. It isn't sending the code to a U.S. phone number. So if Sanjit, if you're still here, I don't know if you have any ideas to how to work around that, but and Sanjit's saying he does aspire to get John out for a walk on the wild side. Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, so you have to use a phone number to buy them?
I don't know. I've got the page up in the background, and I was going to try to order them after the show, but I'll probably have the same problem that Tim's having.
And Terry, also in Australia, has the same problem.
Okay.
But as usual, I think most might find a way around.
Well, here's what's also irritating. Not only don't they have the box, but lots of times they mysteriously they don't have both lens caps, or they don't have the lens hood.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, how often are lenses? So many lenses are sold that they only have the rear lens cap. They don't have the front lens cap. It's like, okay, well, what'd you do with the front lens cap? Really?
It's a worry.
And then you get. I had a case where to get a lens cap for a certain camera, the lens cap cost me more than what I paid for the lens.
That's why you only put cheap lens caps on until you lose them.
Yeah,
Put the good ones away.
It was a metal lens cap, and it was from a brand, that isn't around anymore. And the doggone lens cap cost me more than the lens did.
Remember the Nikon metal lens caps?
Yeah.
My 180, I have a 180 f2.8 that's got a threaded on 72 millimeter. It's actually my father's lens.
A lot of the metal lens caps back in the day were like slip-ons. They might have had like a little felt lining on the lip, and they just
No, these are threaded. These are threaded.
Okay.
Yeah. You probably can't see it. But,
Okay, so Sanjit says he'll check with the postal service where he is for the U.S. phone number.
And Randall is showing something.
Well, I already did it, but I was just showing the shelf full of photos or for the boxes and stuff. And I kept moving my tools and stuff out of there. My chainsaw and toolbox. So I got them in another shed in the backyard instead of in the garage. So
It looks like
Randall,
about 6 cubic meters.
you have to mirror that camera, Randall. Your
What,
oversized,
the DF?
yeah, the oversized one, looking backwards.
Yeah. I can fix that.
You can fix it in the.
I gotta do that first.
Okay, Mozman's saying he was able to get around the phone number thing. He just logged in and bypassed the code.
Oh, wrong one.
Okay,
What does he mean by pass a code?
bypassed the code. Just ignored it. Didn't do it. And I guess he was able to.
Look at it. Look at it. That portion there.
He says the shipping is $50 to US. Whoa. Whoa.
Must be tariffs.
Those are expensive. Yeah, those are expensive stamps, man.
Well,
They got somebody rowing a boat to get here with them.
I think we're going to write a mail to Sanger or John and ask him, hey, I send us some stamps here, and we give you the $15.
We just get a fund and we just send them one chunk of money and then have him just send them all to one person and then distribute it to everybody else. I don't know. $50 a pop. That's a head. That's wow. But anyway, so a reminder, and I'll remind everybody every show until it happens is on January 11th. The last show, last weekly live stream for me is on December 28th. On January 4th, I'll do a photo review the first Saturday of every month for 2025. The remaining Saturdays of the month, you will be going to listening to Chuck Talks on AP Studios at the same time, but you access it through his channel, okay, his YouTube channel, AP Studios, and you click on the link for the reminder, and he'll be broadcasting the other Saturdays of the month. I will only be doing the first Saturday of the month, effective January of 2025. So the 4th will be my first photo review for 2025, and the 11th will be Chuck's first show on AP Studios on January 11th. So make a note of that. Don't forget it. And I'll remind you again next week, and I'll remind you again on the 28th of December. And Chuck will be doing a show, time TBD, on Christmas Eve from AP Studios. So check, when we get closer to that time frame, and make sure that you at least stop in and say hi at a minimum on Christmas Eve if you possibly can.
And Chuck, are you planning to send a thumbnail before December 24?
Yeah.
Okay.
So anyway, we're pretty much at the end of the show here, and I want to thank everybody on the panel that came in tonight. We always appreciate it. It's nice to have our Hollywood Squares going on here. We didn't hear from Joey tonight, so Joey's always eating. Every time he pops in, it's like, well, I just got done eating. So he's always eating in Canada. But he lost a lot of weight for the wedding, so maybe now he's flipping and says, I want to put the weight back on, and maybe he's just eating too much. I don't know, but I don't think we saw him last week either. So we'll have to pick on him next time we see him and ask him, if he's gained weight. Maybe he's just eating like crazy. But anyway, appreciate everybody in the chat for showing up. We got 25 people right now. That's great. It's the holiday season. Appreciate you taking the time to stop in and join in with all of us. I thank special guest Bob Rosato for coming in and do the presentation on the changing, putting the
Yep.
replacing the cheap metal, cheap plastic on the 40 millimeter and the 28 millimeter lenses, and putting the metal mount on there and giving you all the part numbers and the cost and what size screwdrivers to get or bits to get and whatnot. And it's definitely affordable for you to do. So if you were angry that you would have paid a little extra to have the metal mount on the 40 millimeter lens, if you could have, well, you have a workaround now. You have all the information to be able to do it yourself. So and have it with the O-ring on there to have the weather sealing too, which you don't have right now. So that's another added bonus.
Exactly.
So thank you for coming on, Bob, and doing that. We appreciate it.
You're welcome.
And so we're going to call it a night. So I'm going to say my goodbyes to everybody. Let you guys say your final words, and then we're out of here.
Good night, everyone.
Good
Good
night.
night.
Bye.
See you next week.
See you next week. Hopefully, guys. Take care.